Chapter 51 Zhou Tongyou, the strongest in a century. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Catching monsters. Guan was immediately interested when he heard it. As they continued to descend, the topography of Tianya Valley appeared in the snow and fog. From mid-air, it looked like a green ocean, very vast. There was a stream flowing into the valley from the mountains and forests on all sides. There were two small rivers on the edge of the valley. Looking carefully, the end actually flowed into the ground. Soon, Luo Hun brought Guan to the ground, and he took out a piece of cloth and began to wrap the spear. From now on, you are the master of the valley. You can do whatever you want and you can tell me at any time. Luo Hun said. Guan nodded. He took out the Taixuan sword directly and said, "You build a few attics in the edge area, and I will weed." Luo Hun's eyes fell on the scabbard of the Taixuan sword, his pupils suddenly dilated, and he knelt down immediately, and said in a deep voice, "Luo Hun, pay my respects to the Taixuan sword master." Guan deliberately took out the Taixuan sword, fearing that Luo Hun did not pay enough attention to him. The effect is very good. "What are you doing? Get up quickly." Guan pretended to be frightened and hurriedly helped Luo Hun up. After Luo Hun stood up, his eyes were complicated and he said faintly, "I didn't expect His Majesty to give you the Taixuan sword." Guan asked in surprise, "Why is there such a big reaction?" Luo Hun replied, "Taixuan has 3 emperor swords. Seeing the sword is like seeing the emperor. They are Tianwen, Tianshu and Tianfa. Your Majesty is holding the Tianfa sword, and the Tianwen sword is in the hands of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Without His Majesty's permission, no one can get the sword without authorization, so seeing the sword is like seeing the emperor." Guan suddenly felt that Li Ye had a very high status in Li Xuandao's heart, and he was actually the same as the Crown Prince. Without Li Xuandao's consent, Li Ye would have a hard time inheriting the Taixuan sword, but now that the sword is in his hands, Li Xuandao will not have any calculations, right? Guan is used to considering the worst-case scenario, so he thinks Li Xuandao's mind is not that simple. After all, the emperor's heart is as deep as the sea. "I see, then let's work first." Guan responded. Luo Hun had no objection, but he couldn't help but look at the Taixuan sword a few more times. Then, he saw Guan weeding with the Taixuan sword, which made him hesitate. Luo Hun struggled for a while, and finally turned away. Half an hour later, the formation stone tablets around Tianya Valley were activated, and each stone tablet burst out with blue light, soaring into the sky, converging in the sky, and then forming a semicircular light shield that covered the entire Tianya Valley, and then turned transparent. After activating the formation, Luo Hun began to build the attic. By noon, Guan had weeded all the weeds at the bottom of the valley, with a very high efficiency. If he didn't want to hide his true strength, he could weed all the weeds with a stomp of his feet. 3 days later, Guan had finished sowing, and Luo Hun brought a lot of high-level medicinal herb seeds, and his storage bag seemed inexhaustible. In these 3 days, Luo Hun built 5 attics and captured 3 monkey monsters. These 3 monkey monsters are all second-level monsters that can walk upright. Except for the hair on their bodies, they look no different from humans. Luo Hun asked Guan to name them. Guan named them Sun De, Sun Air, and Sun San according to their cultivation level, which made Luo Hun silent for a long time. The 3 monkey monsters liked the surname Sun very much. Guan led the 3 monkey monsters to wander around the park and explained their daily tasks. The 3 monkey monsters can already speak human language. They are all smart and easy to communicate with. Guan is not afraid of them messing around, because they are cursed by Luo Hun and their life and death are not up to them. On the other side, Luo Hun walked to the stairs of the attic and lay down. He took out a book from his arms, on which the 4 words Investiture of the Gods were written. He is also an admirer of Investiture of the Gods. Guan talked to him about Investiture of the Gods before, and this guy was very excited. Unlike his usual cold attitude, near dusk, Guan found Luo Hun and said that he was going back to Xian Valley. Luo Hun was afraid that something might happen to him. After all, there were many monsters on the road, but he insisted on going back. Guan said that he would be careful. Luo Hun thought about it, took out 10 pieces of talisman paper from the storage bag, and said, "This is the invisibility spell. If you pour spiritual power into it, you can become invisible, and even your breath will be hidden. Unless you encounter a third level or above existence in the Dongjie realm, it will be difficult to detect you. Each piece lasts for 5 hours. You should use it sparingly, after all, you have to come back. Guan took the talisman paper and thanked him with a fist. Luo Hun was still a little worried and said, otherwise, build a foundation first. I have a foundation building pill here. Guan shook his head and said, I have a foundation building pill myself, you don't have to worry, I have remembered the way here, and I have a lot of spiritual pills on me. After that, he flew away directly on the sword. Going out of Tianya Valley will not be blocked by the formation, but it will be difficult to come in. Luo Hun looked at Guan's back and frowned slightly. He thought of the words of His Majesty and could only sigh. Li Xiandao had said that if Guan died, he would replace him with someone else as the Valley Master, and Luo Hun's mission was only to protect Tianya Valley. After leaving Tianya Valley 100 miles away, Guan suddenly accelerated, and before night fell, he returned to Xian Valley. With Tianya Valley, Guan's next days will become busy. The caves of the outer disciples are waiting for him to take care of, and he has to go to Tianya Valley from time to time to take care of the situation. He will not completely trust the monkey, although it will be very busy. Guan does not feel tired at all, but is full of fighting spirit. In a few years, his lifespan will usher in a surge. When the Medicine Valley promised to him by the ancient sect is in hand, a lifespan of 1 million years will not seem so far-fetched. Guan even thought about studying puppetry, leaving a puppet in each Medicine Valley to help him guard the situation of the herbs. Before that, he had to improve his superficial cultivation. The cultivation level of the 9th level of Qi training realm is not enough. At least it will be troublesome to go back and forth between Xian Valley and Tianya Valley. Just like that, after the 15th day, Guan came to the outer gate and went to visit Elder Lu Chang in the library. He felt that Lu Chang had more power than Zhu Qinglu of the Danyao Hall. The two met alone in the inner room. Lu Chang flipped through the latest volume of Fengshen Yeni and said with a smile, it's not bad, it's wonderfully written. Just flipping through it makes my heart itch. Guan hesitated and said, Elder Lu, I have something to ask of you. Lu Chang asked without raising his eyes, what's the matter? I'm going to build a foundation, but I don't want to be an outer disciple. I want to continue to be the master of the Xian Valley. This will make it easier for me to write books, become an outer disciple, and go out to perform tasks. I'm afraid of dying outside. That's it? Can Elder Lu do it? Of course. Hey, I'll go directly to Guyu. He told me before that his father values you very much and asked me to take more care of you and try my best to meet your requirements. Lu Chang said with a smile. He smiled like an old fox. Guan immediately thanked him. Lu Chang put down the book in his hand and said, you already belong to the special talents of Taixuan Sect. The harvest you turn in every year has ranked among the top 3 in the outer sect's Medicine Valley. What's more, you can also write the romance of the gods, because you are so. According to this book, the number of disciples recruited by Taixuan Sect every year has increased by 50%, and your role has far exceeded the contribution of outer disciples in performing tasks. Don't worry, even if you can form elixirs in the future, I won't let you go out to perform missions. He was happy when he said these words. He couldn't form an elixir, how could Guan? Guan felt relieved. This was easy to handle. As long as he doesn't act like a genius, he can slowly improve his superficial level, which will make it easier for him to act in the future. Lu Chang seemed to have thought of something and said, recently, Zhou Tongyou, the genius of Taixuan Sect, is coming to Taixuan Sect to challenge young monks under 100 years old. It is expected to be very lively. You can inquire more and draw inspiration for the next book. Remember, Taixuan must be included when the time comes. The romance of the gods is almost finished, and Lu Chang has received instructions from above. Guan nodded and asked curiously, is Zhou Tongyou very powerful? Of course he is powerful. He was born with twin spiritual roots, and his physique is the evil-suppressing golden body cultivated by the Zhou family for thousands of years. He has never met an opponent in the same realm. He once killed someone with a cultivation level of the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. A monk at the 3rd level of the Alchemy realm, he is famous in the world of immortality and is known as the strongest genius in the world of Taicang for 100 years. Lu Chang was amazed when he mentioned Zhou Tongyou. He started to talk about that battle, and Guan listened. Very seriously, geniuses who can kill enemies across realms are, in Guan's opinion, the protagonist's luck. After all, he couldn't do it, or rather, he didn't dare to do it. Rather than fighting back to kill powerful enemies across realms, he prefers to use his powerful cultivation to suppress weak enemies. Half an hour later, Guan left the library. After buying a batch of things in the city, he rushed back to Xian Valley. Early the next morning, Guan called his disciples to practice and announced that he had successfully built the foundation last night, which surprised his disciples. Wu Xian was pleasantly surprised, but also a little reluctant. If the senior brother succeeds in building the foundation, he must go to the outer sect, and he will become the valley master. Master, are you leaving us? Zhen Qin asked quickly, with a reluctant tone and a look of pity on her face. Other disciples also looked at Guan nervously. Wu Xian restrained his surprise and pretended to be disappointed. Guan sighed, yeah. The expressions of all the disciples dimmed instantly, and Wu Xian's heart was beating unsatisfactorily. The saddest thing is Xiaochuan, who is about to become the oldest person in the valley. But because the harvest in our Medicine Valley is good, I applied to the outer sect to continue staying in the Medicine Valley, and the outer sect has agreed. Guan changed his tone and said quickly. The disciples were stunned for a moment, then cheered and rushed towards Guan. Wu Xian was stunned for several breaths before he tried his best to smile. The happiest person is Xiaochuan. He knows that there is no hope of building a foundation in this life. If Guan stays with him for the rest of his life, he will naturally be happy. Only Guan will indulge his interest in raising monsters. Xian Gu was caught in the excitement, and it took Wu Xian a long time to calm down. Guan saw his emotions, pulled him aside, and said that he would soon have a new Medicine Valley, and he would be able to make the decision in the Xian Valley even if he was still in the Xian Valley. From now on, Wu Xian will have the real power of the Valley Master. This made Wu Xian very excited. Seeing his excited smile, Guan thought of Qing Xiandan and Zhang Chuanxiu again. Things are different and people are different. The days passed quickly. Guan left the valley every 2 days to take care of the caves of the outer disciples, and went to Qianya Valley every half-month. After learning that Guan had established the foundation, Luo Han was completely relieved and stopped bothering him. Guan saw that he liked reading, so he brought him Qing Xia's travel notes. The strange thing is that when Guan went to Qianya Valley again later, he didn't see Luo Han holding Qing Xia's travel notes. Doesn't he like it? Then I won't bring it to him anymore. But why didn't he even watch Fengshen? As always, please give me monthly votes, recommendation votes, and follow-up reading. Chapter 52 Civil Strife, the Third Medicine Valley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Winter has passed and spring has come, and another new year is coming. The spring festival is ushering in Xian Valley, and the disciples are busy preparing, while Guan is holding the white spirit mouse to inspect various parts. The white spirit mouse enjoyed being held by him, with its eyes closed, as if sleeping. A sound of breaking through the air came from the horizon. Guan turned his head and looked with a smile on his face. Yilan is back. She quickly landed next to Guan and put the flying sword into her storage bag. She smiled sweetly and said, "Senior brother, I'm back for the holidays. You won't welcome me, right?" Guan looked at her and asked with a smile, "Isn't the law enforcement hall busy?" "No matter how busy you are, you can still spare a few days. Proper relaxation is more conducive to cultivation." "This is what you said, senior brother, and I will always keep it in mind." Yilan blinked and said in a playful tone. After the two of them chatted for a while, Yilan took Guan to the attic. As he walked, he said, "Senior brother, go to your room first, and I will show you the treasure." Baby. Guan threw the white spirit rat on the ground and followed Yilan. The two of them walked all the way up to the attic. After entering the house, Yilan did not close the door, which made Guan breathe a sigh of relief. Yilan walked to the table and took out a brocade box from her storage bag. She looked sideways at Guan and said with a proud smile, "Brother, this is the foundation building gift I specially prepared for you." "Why is that?" "When you built the foundation, I didn't give you any gifts. How can I build a foundation without my senior brother's foundation building pill?" I am not one of those geniuses who can forcibly build a foundation by relying on their own spiritual roots. Yilan shook his head and smiled. When Guan heard this, he no longer refused. He walked to her side and looked at the brocade box curiously. Yilan opened the brocade box, and there was actually a grass root inside, which was like the roots of ginseng. If you didn't feel it carefully, it would be difficult to detect the weak spiritual energy fluctuations inside. Human face tree, revival state 0/600/22,000, the ultimate lifespan of 22,000 years. Guan raised his eyebrows. This was the first time he saw the word resuscitated state. Yilan introduced, this is the root of a 6th level spiritual tree. As long as it is buried in the soil for a few years, it can grow again and improve the spiritual energy of the place. Guan asked curiously, where did you get such a precious treasure? Yilan blinked and said, I captured the demon spies some time ago. I found them from the cave of a Qianqiu pavilion spy, but I didn't turn them in. Isn't this bad? Don't worry, other law enforcement hall disciples will also keep something, and the superiors have tacitly approved it, as long as they don't get too greedy and no one knows about this treasure. When Guan heard this, he felt less burdened. He thought for a while and said, if you need any herbs, please tell me any time in the future. I will have a second medicinal valley soon, and we will help each other in the future. Yilan smiled and said, okay, I'll go find the others first, and I'll bring them gifts. Guan nodded and Yilan left immediately. He looked at the brocade box on the table and wondered where to plant it. After thinking about it, he decided to leave it to the third medicine valley. The new medicine valley needs to increase the spiritual energy. The more spiritual energy, the faster the growth rate of the medicinal herbs. Xian Valley already has its own rules and does not need a spiritual tree, let alone Tianya Valley. Why do you have to dig out the seeds yourself? Tianya Valley is Li Xuandao's medicine valley. He only has management rights. If he needs anything in Tianya Valley, he can ask Li Xiandao for it. Afterwards, Guan put the brocade box into the storage bag, then walked to the desk, picked up the pen and ink and started writing on the paper. Yilan's arrival made the atmosphere in Xuangu better. As night fell, various spring festival activities began, and the excitement continued. After everyone sat down and started drinking, Zhenqin asked Yilan to tell them about the experience of outer disciples performing tasks, and Yilan did not refuse. In addition to guarding the outer sect, the disciples of the law enforcement hall also have to go out for training, and Yilan is no exception. The mission we received at that time was to eliminate evil spirits. We went to a mountain town where nearly 1,000 households died in just a few days. In order to prevent the evil spirits from continuing to harm the people, the local government asked Taixuan for help. There are 7 of us in total. Yilan vividly talked about the experience at that time. It happened to be night, and the disciples were very nervous when they heard it. The female disciples even hugged each other, seeing that the little girl who followed him back then was now on her own. The smile on Guan's face never disappeared. When Yilan talked about ghosts, the hearts of all the disciples were in their throats. Even Xiao Chuan, Wu Xian, and Su Han were very nervous. It wasn't until late at night that the disciples dispersed. Yilan followed Guan back to the attic. Guan took out the secret book he had written and handed it to her, saying, "This is a leg technique secret book I found at the inner gate before. You can practice it when you have nothing to do. Practice." Guangfeng Jueying legs. Yilan took the secret book. She did not open it, but put the secret book into her storage bag. She looked at Guan and said, "Brother, you'd better be careful when you meet Lu Jiujia in the future." "What's wrong with him?" Guan asked confused. Yilan sighed and said, "Didn't we say before that there was an internal struggle in Taixuan Sect, and the elders who were against the sect leader were secretly recruiting disciples? Lu Jiujia worshipped an elder from the outer sect elder hall as his disciple. That elder just worked for the sect leader's enemy. If things go on like this, a chaos will break out in Taixuan Sect sooner or later. If the sect leader can have the last laugh, he will definitely clean up the rebellious disciples, and Lu Jiujia will definitely not be able to escape. I tried to persuade him before, but he didn't listen. He said that you have to fight for the path to immortality. Instead of doing nothing, it's better to fight. His choice is actually right. I'm just worried that if you get too close to him, you will be beaten later. He was implicated, so he probably thought so he didn't return to Xian Valley. After hearing this, Guan fell into silence. He could not interfere with Lu Jiujia's choice, because Lu Jiujia was right. Cultivating immortals requires fighting. The reason why he doesn't fight is because he can take away lifespan, so he is not qualified to teach others how to cultivate immortality. Yi Lan started to talk about other things, always focusing on the outer sect. The internal struggle of Taixuan Sect also involved the children of the Ji family and the royal family. Guan listened with interest. It wasn't until early in the morning that Guan sent Yi Lan away. The two chatted all night and were still in high spirits. Before leaving, Guan told her not to forget to practice the Guangfeng Juyin kick. Yi Lan nodded, but there was a hint of resentment in her eyes. After she left, Guan greeted the disciples to practice. On a hot summer day, the 35-year-old Guan stood in front of the window, looking at the sky, frowning slightly. He was waiting for Guyu. The half-year period has passed. Why haven't you come yet? Guan is looking forward to his third Medicine Valley every day. He has prepared the seeds in advance and is waiting to sow them. Nothing will happen, right? Guan was worried. Last month when he went to the outer sect, he clearly felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere in the outer sect. There was a group of black-clothed disciples in the city. It was said that they were the hall established by the new outer sect elder, called the Demon Elimination Hall. The Demon Slayer Hall is directly under the control of the Great Elder. The lowest cultivation level of the disciples entering the hall is the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment realm, and their treatment is higher than that of other halls. Taixuan has enough outer gates and cities in all directions. Even the outer gates are like this, not to mention the inner gates and the main city of the sect. Such a battle will inevitably affect the ancient sect. Well, how annoying. Influence me to plant grass. Guan suddenly wanted to blow up those troublemakers with one punch. At this moment, he suddenly felt something, and a smile suddenly broke out on his gloomy face. Come, he's coming. Guan caught Guyu's aura. He tried to calm down and did not go downstairs. After a while, Guyu finally landed in Xian Valley. Guan, Guyu shouted loudly, immediately attracting the attention of the disciples in the valley. Guan opened the door, looked at Guyu, and said, Brother Gu, come up and talk. Guyu threw the compass in his hand into his storage bag and went upstairs. After entering the house, Guan closed the door and poured him tea. Guyu did not sit down, but browsed on the bookshelf next to him, as if he was looking for something. I haven't written the final volume of Fengshen Yini yet. Guan said. When Guyu heard this, he was immediately disappointed. He turned around and sat down at the table, took out a book from the storage bag, and finally took out a token. This is your Valley Master's order. Your Medicine Valley is between the outer gate and the inner gate. It is less than 100 miles away from the outer gate city. For you who are in the Foundation Establishment realm, it is not troublesome to go back and forth. These books are you can refer to the life experiences written by my father in his essays. My father said that it does not have to be based on the facts. It can be modified appropriately. You can even make up a story based on his experiences. Guyu introduced, and after talking about it, his expression was quite playful, and he hinted at Guan with his eyes. Guan placed the teacup in front of him and picked up the Valley Master's token. Different from Xian Gu's bronze token, this token was silver-white and contained several restrictions. I will take you to the Medicine Valley later. If you get lost later, put your spiritual consciousness into the token and the token will guide you. Guyu drank a cup of tea and continued. Guan nodded. He couldn't wait to see his new Medicine Valley. Guyu seemed to have remembered something and said, by the way, when writing about me, write Zhou Tongyou in. Write that he is the strongest genius of the younger generation in the world of immortality, but he especially admires me and only follows my lead. Guan's face twitched and he said, this is not good. I'm afraid writing like this will get me into trouble. Whatever you want, just ask and I can satisfy you. It's not about price. 100 high-quality spiritual stones. If he sees it, he will definitely track me down. 1,000 high-grade spiritual stones, this is all my belongings. Homophony, okay. Hearing this, Guyu raised his eyebrows and said, yes, but you can only change one word. Good, Guan agreed, but he would not slander Zhou Tongyou in the book. He considered making the two people love and kill each other as brothers, so that they would not offend each other. He could see that Guyu had no hostility towards Zhou Tongyou, otherwise he would not have accepted Zhou Tongyou as his younger brother, but would have insulted Zhou Tongyou in the book. It is estimated that Guyu is just jealous of Zhou Tongyou. If he could become Zhou Tongyou's brother and add some emotional drama, Guyu would be satisfied. After the two rested for half an hour, they immediately set off and left the Xian Valley with their swords. Chapter 53 The So-Called Understanding, Gu En's Anger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the evening, the sun sets. Guan stood on the cliff, overlooking the Medicine Valley in front of him, with a satisfied look on his face. In front of him were mountains that were not too high. There was a valley between the mountains, which was very vast, more than 10 miles long and 2 or 3 miles wide. The edge of the Medicine Valley was lined with trees, like a natural barrier to protect the Medicine Valley from wind and waves. Guyu stood beside him and said, "There are caves of inner disciples nearby, and there are more than one person. As long as you don't leave the radius of 100 miles, you won't encounter monsters." Guan nodded, his eyes full of expectation. What he saw was not the Medicine Valley, but the endless life numbers. Guyu patted Guan's shoulder and flew away on his sword. Guan jumped up and jumped towards the Medicine Valley. The wind and waves visible to the naked eye were wrapped around his limbs, which was the wind control technique. Guyu, who was standing on the flying sword, looked back, raised his eyebrows slightly, and there was a hint of surprise in his eyes, but he did not turn around. After Guan landed, he first walked to the entrance of the valley, where there was a stone tablet, bare and without any words. He used his finger as a sword and carved 4 words with sword energy, the Third Medicine Valley. The name was so simple because he would have more Medicine Valleys in the future. Looking at his handwriting, Guan was very satisfied. He practiced writing a lot in order to write books. His handwriting was sharp and sharp. After admiring his handwriting for a while, Guan began to look for a place to build a loft. He planned to build the teleportation array first. Dusk eventually passed, and night gradually fell. Beside the campfire, Guan sat on a stone, flipping through a book in his hand. This was given by Ji Xiaoyu, which recorded how to build the teleportation array she gave. It must be said that the development of immortal cultivation in this world is indeed very strong. Reading this book is like reading an instruction manual, but it is a simplified version. The teleportation array given by Ji Xiaoyu has already set up restrictions, and he only needs to build it according to the order in the book. Guan was going to stay up all night to build the teleportation array. After the teleportation array was successfully built, he would lead several disciples to sow seeds. It takes spirit stones to activate the teleportation array. He is very rich now. Not to mention the spirit stone income from the investiture of the gods. Gu Yugang gave him 1,000 high-quality spirit stones, which is enough for him to squander for a long time. After a night, Guan successfully built the teleportation array, and he immediately flew away on his sword. After returning to Xian Valley, he built the teleportation array next to his attic, and his movements attracted all the disciples to come and watch. Xiaochuan asked him what he was doing, and he did not hide it. Hearing that Guan was about to take over another Medicine Valley and build a teleportation array, all the disciples became interested and asked questions one after another. Guan answered them while building the array. Until noon, Guan built it successfully. Under the gaze of everyone, he put spirit stones into the grooves of the array pillars. After the spirit stones were placed, he injected spiritual power into the opening mechanism. Rumble, the teleportation array was activated. The ground trembled slightly, and on the array platform, 2 array pillars burst out strong light, gathering together to form a light curtain. Guan turned around, glanced at everyone, and said, "Wu Xin, you go to the outer gate to recruit 3 errand disciples. Su Han, Zhen Qin, Yi Yan come with me, and the others stay in Xian Valley." Hearing this, Zhen Qin and the other 2 immediately stepped forward excitedly and followed Guan into the teleportation array. Not long after, the teleportation light curtain dissipated, and the array platform returned to calm. On the other side, in the Third Medicine Valley, Guan began to call on 3 disciples to weed, and he was responsible for building the building. Su Han used a sword, Yi Yan used a gun, and Zhen Qin used leg skills to weed. Ever since Luo Hun taught Yi Yan a set of Spear skills, he couldn't help asking Guan for an iron spear. This spear was bought by Guan from the outer gate. It was not an ordinary iron spear. It could withstand spiritual power and was considered the lowest level magic weapon. Guan was not interested in spear skills, so he didn't go to see Yi Yan's spear skills. Since practicing spear, Yi Yan's strength has improved day by day. This is the first time that Guan has seen a true genius in Xian Valley. Yi Yan's cultivation is still improving slowly, but his actual combat effectiveness has improved rapidly. After only half a year of spear training, Tongyou and Su Han are not his opponents, which makes the two of them very shocked. Guan also thought of his own comprehension, which is the only thing that cannot be directly improved by lifespan. In this world, it seems that spiritual root qualifications cannot determine everything. The reason why Guan called Su Han, Zhen Qin, and Yi Yan to come is also to give some advice. In the disaster of Qiu Qianli, the performance of the three won his preference. He decided to cultivate the three well and let the three go further. The third medicine valley is located between the inner gate and the outer gate. The spiritual energy here is more abundant, which can help them practice. Occasionally, Guan can also give them a special meal. The three are willing to endure hardships. Before completing the weeding task, they did not rest, and even secretly competed to see who was faster. When they weeded all the weeds, Guan had already built 4 attics. The 4 of them gathered in front of the building to rest. Su Han looked at Yi Yan with a hint of dissatisfaction in his eyes. Yi Yan was much calmer. Since he started practicing spears, he has become more introverted. Zhen Qin wiped her sweat and asked Guan, "Master, this place is so big, is it enough for the 3 of us?" "Of course it is enough. I was in charge of Xian Valley alone, and your Uncle Meng Lang and Uncle Li Ye were lazy all day long." Guan laughed softly, looking back at those little conflicts back then. "I just felt it was interesting, but it was a pity that the old friends were no longer here." After hearing this, Zhen Qin asked about Guan's past. Su Han and Yi Yan also listened carefully. They all respected Guan very much. Although Yi Yan's spearmanship was not taught by Guan, he still felt that he had received the favor of his master. If it were not for his master, how could the mysterious monk come to Xian Valley and give him spearmanship? After chatting for half an hour, everyone continued to be busy. 3 days later, the third medicine valley was already full of herb seeds, but it looked like a wasteland. After all, it takes time for seeds to germinate and grow. Guan led them back to Xian Valley to pack up, and then let them move to the third medicine valley to live. The remaining errand disciples were very curious about this, and some wanted to go to the third medicine valley, but were suppressed by Wu Xian. As the master of Xian Valley, Wu Xian couldn't let anyone run away. Xian Valley is his foundation. In this way, Guan's 3 medicine valleys began to operate, and a beautiful farming life began. It has been a month since the sowing of the third medicine valley. Zhen Qin and the other 2 are guarding the medicine valley, and Guan only comes to see occasionally. They only need to take a little time to check each park every day, and the rest of the time is used for cultivation. Near dusk, the sky is red. Zhen Qin walked out of the house, stretched her body, and was full of energy. The skills taught by Jiang Qiong made her cultivation grow rapidly, far beyond the past, so her cultivation fighting spirit reached a peak. She turned her head and saw Yi Yan still practicing with a spear on the hillside at the entrance of the valley. "If you don't absorb qi, just practicing with a spear is useful," Zhen Qin murmured to herself. She didn't go over to join in the fun, but took advantage of the break to look after the various parks. This is all the hard work of the master. On the other side, Yi Yan practiced with a spear in the evening glow, sweating like rain. Even if he was sore all over, he didn't stop. The spear he practiced was his only chance. He didn't want to miss it, and he didn't want to be a chores disciple for life. The spiritual energy inside is obviously more abundant. Why don't you practice with a spear in the valley? A voice came, and Yi Yan turned his head in surprise. I saw a figure standing in the sky above the forest 10 feet away. He stepped on the treetop with 1 foot, and his blue clothes fluttered in the wind, showing the demeanor of an immortal. When did he appear? Yi Yan was secretly shocked. He put away his gun and turned around, looking at the man, and asked loudly, "What can I do for you, Senior?" That Guan said that this is already the scope of the inner gate, and all the cultivators you meet must be addressed as seniors and cannot be rude. The man in blue was not handsome, but his eyes were bright, making people dare not look at him. I just happened to pass by and saw you practicing with a gun. Your gun skills are not simple. You have your own method of absorbing qi and quenching the body, which is rare. Zhou Tongyou jumped down from the tree and walked towards Yi Yan. Seeing him coming, Yi Yan was very nervous. The master was not in the Medicine Valley, how should he deal with it? You haven't answered me yet. Zhou Tongyou reminded, his tone was flat, but the more so, the more pressure he brought to Yi Yan. Yi Yan answered with a stiff face, the back is my master's Medicine Valley, which has just been sown for a month. I don't want my practice to affect the growth of those herbs. Did your master teach you this set of spear skills? No, it was a friend of your master. Your master must be extraordinary to have such a friend. May I ask your master's name? My master is Guan. Yi Yan answered, confused in his heart, not understanding what the other party wanted to do. Zhou Tongyou stopped, raised his hand and said, let's compete. I don't use spiritual power or magic tools, I only use moves to compete with you, how about it? Yi Yan frowned and hesitated. You are not afraid, are you? Zhou Tongyou's words inspired Yi Yan's fighting spirit. He was not afraid of the great cultivator of the magic way at the beginning, so how could he be afraid of the man in front of him? At noon, Guan came to the third Medicine Valley through the teleportation formation. He first scanned all the parks with his spiritual sense. After finding no problems, he looked at his disciples. Soon, he was attracted by Yi Yan, who was practicing shooting at the entrance of the valley. He walked along, and Yi Yan noticed him coming, turned slightly, and turned his back to him. Yener, how did you get hurt? Guan came and asked. Yi Yan hesitated for a moment, but still chose to turn around and look at Guan, only to see that his face was purple and blue, and there was even a slap mark on his left face. He told Guan what happened yesterday evening, and Guan was immediately angry when he heard it. Someone actually dared to bully his disciple. What's his name? Will he come again? I don't know, he didn't say, he just said that when he was done, he would find time to come to me. Don't be afraid, Master will support you. Guan patted Yi Yan's shoulder and said, then took out some healing pills for him to take. In the next few days, Guan stayed in the third Medicine Valley, but the man who beat Yi Yan up did not show up. However, after he went to the outer gate to take care of the cave, he came back and found that Yi Yan was beaten again. The man beat him and left. This cycle repeats itself. In the next 2 months, Yi Yan was beaten 4 times, and each time Guan was not there. Guan suspected that the other party was deliberately avoiding him. At noon one day, Guan was reading under a tree. Down a hillside just connected to the valley entrance, he could see Yi Yan practicing shooting. Suddenly, Guan noticed something, his eyebrows raised, and he thought to himself that he was finally here. Thanks to Shui Ren for rewarding 700 reading coins, and book friend 20230711191099972 for rewarding 200 starting coins. Next week, Sanjiang, there is not much time to be on the new book list, please vote for the monthly ticket and follow up. Chapter 54 Your sword is so fast. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under Guan's gaze, a figure flew over and landed in front of Yi Yan. When Yi Yan saw him, he became nervous and even took 2 steps back. Zhou Tongyou, 9th level of Jindan Realm 62/900/3100. It turned out to be him. Guan didn't expect to meet Zhou Tongyou, who has recently become famous in Taixuan Sect. Zhou Tongyou challenged the younger generation of disciples everywhere, and was invincible. His reputation even spread to the outer sect, because the Taixuan Sect where Zhou Tongyou came from was also a famous and upright sect and had good relations with Taixuan Sect. The great monks of Taixuan Sect were not good at targeting him, so Zhou Tongyou was rampant in Taixuan Sect for more than half a year, and no one could punish him. Zhou Tongyou only fought, not killed, and threatened to only challenge people under the age of 100. Many monks of Taixuan Sect could only watch and get angry secretly. The whole Taixuan Sect was suppressed by Zhou Tongyou. No one dared to question the rules he proposed, because his opponent was under 100 years old, but he was still 38 years away from 100 years old. He challenged the 99-year-old Taixuan Sect disciple, which was actually an advantage for Taixuan Sect. But even so, no one could defeat him. Zhou Tongyou glanced at Guan on the hillside next to him, his eyes calm. Guan put the book in his arms, then stood up and walked down. He came all the way between Zhou Tongyou and Yi Yan, turned to look at Zhou Tongyou, and said with a fist, "I am Yi Yan's master Guan. I wonder how my disciple offended the senior." Yi Yan looked at Guan who was blocking him, and his heart was moved. Guan had said before that the cultivators here were all inner disciples, and inner disciples meant the Jindan realm. Guan, who was at the first level of the foundation building realm, dared to confront the Jindan realm cultivator for him. How could he not be moved? "You are his master. Your cultivation disappoints me." Zhou Tongyou looked at Guan and frowned. Guan replied, "My disciple is only at the Qi training stage. As his master, how high can my cultivation level be?" Zhou Tongyou snorted, "I am not bullying your disciple. I respect him." As soon as these words came out, Yi Yan's face instantly turned green, and he hesitated to speak. Guan stared at him and said, "If you want to give him some advice, you can be straightforward. My disciple will still remember your kindness, but you didn't say it, and you hit him hard. Maybe you really want to give him some advice, but in your heart, you must be disdainful, so you are too lazy to explain." If Zhou Tongyou is the #1 genius of Taixuan Sect, then Guan may consider it more, but he is not, for no reason. Guan doesn't want to provoke Zhou Tongyou, but if Zhou Tongyou bullies him, he will not be merciful. Zhou Tongyou frowned even more when he heard Guan's words. He wanted to refute, but he knew that Guan was right. He was indeed somewhat disdainful of Yi Yan in his heart, and the reason why he often came to give advice was just a whim. "Humph, it seems that you are going to ask me for an explanation. Let's do this. The rules are the same. No spiritual power is used, only moves are used. If you can beat me, I will apologize to your apprentice and give him a complete body training method. How about it?" Zhou Tongyou stared at Guan and said coldly. "Master, forget it," Yi Yan said hurriedly. He knew Zhou Tongyou's strength best. Even if it was a comparison of moves, it was unfathomable. Guan asked, "Only compare moves?" "That's right." Seeing Guan's intention, Zhou Tongyou smiled, but his smile was a little ferocious. Guan frowned and said, "If you lose, you can't tell others about your defeat to me, and you can't bother us master and apprentice again." "Huh, you actually want to compare moves with me?" Zhou Tongyou was happy and said with a smile, "It's up to you. Hurry up and get your weapon." Guan raised his right hand and grabbed a branch from the forest with a move in the air. He held it with his right hand as if he was holding a sword. His left hand then waved towards Zhou Tongyou. Zhou Tongyou immediately walked towards Guan. The distance between them began to shorten. Yi Yan quickly stepped aside, fearing that he would hinder his master. When the two were less than 7 steps apart, Zhou Tongyou suddenly accelerated, stepped in front of Guan, clenched his right fist, and hit Guan's abdomen. Even though he didn't use his spiritual power, this punch had the sound of tigers and leopards roaring together. Before his fist touched Guan, Guan felt a strong force coming. Zhou Tongyou's fist stopped, his pupils trembled, and his expression was shocked. Yi Yan widened his eyes, unable to believe what he saw. Guan leaned back slightly, the branch in his hand against Zhou Tongyou's throat, and Zhou Tongyou's fist was still 2 feet away from Guan. "If I had a sword in my hand, I wonder if I could hurt you," Guan asked calmly, and Zhou Tongyou's face changed. After a few breaths, Zhou Tongyou put away his fist, and Guan followed suit. Zhou Tongyou took a deep breath, looked at Yi Yan, and said, "Sorry, I went too far." He took out a secret book from his storage bag and threw it to Yi Yan, then looked back at Guan. "Your sword is so fast, who are you?" Guan threw the branch in his hand into the forest and said calmly, "I am just a cultivator with mediocre spiritual roots. I don't like to absorb qi. I like to practice swordsmanship on weekdays. My sword moves are not exquisite, but they are fast enough. If you relax the rules, I will definitely not be your opponent." If Zhou Tongyou doesn't admit it, then Guan will make him regret it. Now that he has done what he said and apologized to the errant disciple, Guan has changed his mind about him. Although this person is arrogant, he is not a bad person by nature. When Zhou Tongyou heard this, his face changed from cloudy to bright. He gritted his teeth and asked, "You really won't tell anyone about what happened today? I don't even know your name, how can I say it?" Guan asked back. Zhou Tongyou breathed a sigh of relief. He immediately saluted Guan and then turned and left, faster than when he came. Yi Yan followed and said excitedly, Master, I didn't expect your sword to be so fast. You defeated him with just one move. Guan glanced into the valley. Zhen Qin was absorbing qi in the house, and Su Han was practicing sword in the forest more than 10 miles away. Neither of them noticed the previous competition. Don't tell anyone about this. Just keep it a secret between us, master and disciple. Don't tell your senior brothers and sisters. Guan reminded Yi Yan. Yi Yan nodded excitedly, feeling that he was closer to his master. Teaching Zhou Tongyou a lesson was just a small episode for Guan. After that, he could go out with peace of mind without having to stay in the Third Medicine Valley. However, one day a month later, Guan returned to the Third Medicine Valley, but saw Zhou Tongyou at the entrance of the valley. Yi Yan was practicing spear, and Zhou Tongyou stood by and watched. Zhou Tongyou felt Guan's gaze, and immediately smiled and waved at him enthusiastically. Guan's eyes flashed with displeasure, and he walked away immediately. When they arrived at the entrance of the valley, Guan frowned and asked, Why are you here again? Is this guy going to stay in Taixuan? Zhou Tongyou said excitedly, I have thought of how to break your sword moves. Come on, let's compete again. You promised not to bother me anymore. You broke your promise. It doesn't count as a harassment. Let's put it this way. What do you want? Just ask. I just want to try your sword moves. Zhou Tongyou explained hurriedly. Yi Yan, who was standing aside, was not injured. He said, Master, he has been waiting here for 4 days. Guan frowned and hesitated. Zhou Tongyou thought of something, took out a small cloth bag from the storage bag, and said, There are seeds of 4th-level medicinal herbs in it. I'll give them all to you. Just practice with me. I'm not here to win or lose, I want to learn from you. Guan took the cloth bag, weighed it with his hand, and sighed, only this time. There will never be a next time, Zhou Tongyou said excitedly, thinking in his heart that he would definitely make you lose convincingly this time. He took out a sword from the storage bag, threw it to Guan, and said, This is a mid-grade flying sword, very suitable for foundation building cultivators. I'll give it to you. You fight me with the sword. After that, he took out a long spear. Good guy. An inch longer, an inch stronger. Guan held the flying sword in his hand, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Zhou Tongyou was a little embarrassed when facing his eyes, and hurriedly explained, It's still the old rules, no spiritual power, only moves. Come on. This time, Zhen Qin and Su Han also heard the noise, and they ran over quickly. But before they reached the entrance of the valley, Guan took the lead. He threw the flying sword in his hand directly and killed Zhou Tongyou. Zhou Tongyou's pupils suddenly dilated, and he secretly said that it was so fast. No, this guy has great strength. Zhou Tongyou dodged to the side, and then stabbed forward with the gun, because he saw Guan following the flying sword. In a flash, Guan tilted his head, grabbed the gun with his left hand, pulled it back, and pointed his right hand with 2 fingers as a sword, pointing at Zhou Tongyou. Everything happened so fast that Yi Yan couldn't keep up with it. When the two stopped, Guan's fingers were already against Zhou Tongyou's Adam's apple. Zhou Tongyou still held the spear in his hand, but his body stiffened. How come you are so fast? Are you really at the first level of the foundation building realm? Zhou Tongyou asked with gritted teeth. His forehead was sweating. Guan replied, If you use spiritual power, you will be faster than me. It is your rules that give me an advantage. I am not your opponent at all. Why do you have to use such rules to defeat me? We ordinary cultivators also have our own dignity. He loosened his hands. Zhou Tongyou's face flushed, and he gritted his teeth and said, I don't mean to trample on your dignity. Goodbye. He left like he was escaping. At this time, Zhen Qin and Su Han came. Guan ignored them, picked up the flying sword and walked into the valley. In the eyes of the 3 disciples, his back showed the style of a master. A month later, Zhou Tongyou came again. This time he prepared more herb seeds, and Guan could only accept it reluctantly. This time, Guan defeated him with 3 moves, which frustrated him and gave him a glimmer of hope. Zhou Tongyou's generosity made Guan reluctant to drive him away. Time flies, and the end of the year is coming. Winter snow covers Tianya Valley. Guan took 3 monkey demons to inspect the Medicine Valley. After the inspection, he walked towards the attic. As he walked, he looked at his lifespan. Although he was busy sowing this year, his lifespan increased quite fast. Relying on the caves and Xian Valley of the outer disciples, he also gained a lot of lifespan. In a few years, Tianya Valley and the 3rd Medicine Valley will have a harvest and his lifespan will start to soar. Guan just came to the attic. Luo Hun came over. He was very embarrassed and hesitant. Why don't you bring books recently? You want to read? I thought you didn't like it. The Medicine Valley is boring, you have to have something to relax your mind. Okay, I'll bring you the latest volume of Fengshen Yeni next time. Hehe, it's not bad to bring a few Qingxia travel notes. Chapter 55 Taixuan Immortal Venerable, Sect Master changes position. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Luo Hun's embarrassed expression, Guan suddenly realized that this guy was so good at this, he didn't tell him earlier. Guan immediately patted Luo Hun on the shoulder and said with a smile, Brother Luo, I didn't expect that you have the same taste as me. To be honest, compared to the fighting and killing and the battle of orthodoxy in the romance of the gods, I prefer people to fight against each other. The communication between people is as light as water, and the experience of traveling around mountains and rivers, these are the things that can truly refine the Taoist heart. That his words made Luo Hun no longer embarrassed, and a smile appeared on his face. The two began to talk about Qing Xia's travels, and their relationship became closer. However, Luo Hun was still very reserved and did not dare to talk about the men and women in Qing Xia's travels. He only talked about the strange sights and strange stories. Guan felt very happy teasing the prude Luo Hun. Tianya Valley won't be so boring in the future. Time flies like an arrow, and 3 years passed quickly. It's midsummer again, and Guan is already 38 years old. Starting from this year, the 3rd Medicine Valley will usher in the first batch of mature herbs, and he is looking forward to it. As for Tianya Valley, since all the high-end medicinal herbs are grown, we have to wait a little longer. In the early morning of this day, Guan led his disciples to practice exercises in Xian Valley, although Jin Qin and the others went to the 3rd Medicine Valley. 3 new handyman disciples were welcomed, and Xian Valley was still lively. Guan was twisting his waist when he suddenly felt something and a smile appeared on his face. Xiaochuan noticed his smile and couldn't help but ask, Senior brother, what are you laughing at? Nothing, just keep practicing. Guan said perfunctorily, and Xiaochuan could only give up. After a while, the training ended, the disciples dispersed, and Guan also walked to his attic. As soon as he walked downstairs, there was a sound of breaking through the air in the distance. He turned around and saw someone flying towards him with a sword. It's Liya. After not seeing him for many years, Liya was still wearing black clothes, but his temperament had changed, and there was still a strand of white hair on his forehead, adding to the vicissitudes of life. Liya saw Guan from a distance. A smile appeared on his stern face, as if an iceberg was melting. Liya's cultivation has reached the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm, and Guan feels that he is stronger than Ji Lin back then, so he is probably not far away from forming a core. After landing, Liya opened his arms and hugged Guan, which made his body a little stiff. Not bad, we have actually built a foundation. It seems that we have worked hard. Liya squeezed Guan's shoulders and said with a satisfied smile. Guan naturally broke away from his clutches and said with a smile, I'm finally back. Is everything going well? Liya shook his head and said, it didn't go well, but it was a blessing in disguise. Let's go into the house and chat. Guan nodded and took him upstairs. An hour later, in the attic, Guan and Liya were sitting across from each other drinking. After hearing Liya's experiences over the years, he was deeply moved. It feels like it could be written into a book. Guan commented. Liya smiled and said, indeed, even though I escaped death many times, I became who I am now. Over the years, Liya went south to search for the inheritance of the great monk of the transformation of God, competed with geniuses from all walks of life, and finally broke out of the tight siege. However, the great monk of the transformation of God actually wanted to take him away. Fortunately, he saved the day, although he did not say how to escape. There was a danger of seizing his body, but Guan expected it to be related to the soul in his body. After the crisis of becoming a god was over, Liya learned a sword intent in the monk's cave. He had accumulated it for 3 years, and his sword intent was completely transformed. After that, he came back from Jizhou in the south and encountered other twists and turns on the way. For example, he met a woman who was bullied by a local family. Fortunately, he came to rescue him. Unfortunately, he just left and later heard about the woman. His family was forced to death, and the tragedy spread widely among the people, so he returned and massacred that family, causing a lot of discussion throughout the state. The local government gave up the pursuit of Liya after a few days and even cancelled the wanted order. When Liya talked about this experience, his tone was not too sad, just a little cold. Guan poured a glass of wine for Liya again, and Liya suddenly asked, "Junior brother Gu, what do you think is the purpose of cultivating immortality? Is it just the pursuit of illusory immortality? But from ancient times to the present, there is no immortal person." Hearing this, Guan poured himself a drink and said, "I don't know what a person who cultivates immortality should pursue. I only know that you have to be relaxed in life. Whatever can make you relaxed, then do it. I plant flowers and grass all day long. In the eyes of many people, it is just a waste of practice years, but I think such days are very interesting. The herbs I grow can help the sect, which also has some meaning, isn't it?" He didn't think Liya was being pretentious. After some experiences, he would always be confused. After hearing this, Liya held the wine glass and fell into thought. He thought about this for half an hour. Guan did not disturb him, but took out Qin Xia's travel notes to read. After Liya finished thinking, his eyes became bright. He raised his eyes to look at Guan and said, "The truth is never higher than the temple. Junior brother Gu, thank you. I think I know what to do." He stood up, took out a small white jade bottle from his storage bag, and said, "This is a pill made from thousands of years of spiritual fat. It can strengthen the muscles and bones. I can take up to 2 pills a year. I have to go back to form the pill." After saying that, without waiting for Guan to persuade him to stay, he climbed out of the window and left. Guan was silent. Why does this kid like to climb through windows? His eyes looked at the white jade vial on the table. Why does everyone love to give him gifts? Guan looked helpless, but he still put the bottle into his storage bag. The summer night came late. Guan arrived at the 3rd Medicine Valley. As soon as he stepped out of the teleportation formation, his eyes were attracted to the small pavilion in the distance. He saw Zhenqin, Su Han, Yi Yan and Zhou Tongyou standing around. Sitting there, chatting happily, Guan immediately left. Zhou Tongyou, who was chatting, glanced at Guan, with a smile on his face. The others followed his gaze, and then the 3 of them stood up quickly. Arriving at the small pavilion, Guan asked angrily, "Why are you here again? Haven't you emptied your storage bag yet?" 3 years later, Zhou Tongyou came no less than 10 times, each time bringing medicinal herbs, elixirs, and magic weapons. In the last sparring session, it took Guan 10 moves to defeat him, and the victory was barely possible. "Well," he acted very reluctantly. Zhou Tongyou smiled and said, "Don't worry, this time I'm not here to discuss with you, but to say goodbye. I'm leaving. After coming to Taixuan for so many years, you are a real friend I have made, and I also recognize you very much." Friend? Guan didn't know how to answer the call. Yi Yan looked at Zhou Tongyou with some reluctance. Over the years, Zhou Tongyou would guide him in his cultivation every time he came here. To him, he was half a master. "What do you mean, you have been coming to Taixuan for so many years? Are you not a disciple of Taixuan?" Zhenqin asked in surprise with her eyes widened. Su Han and Yi Yan were also moved by it. They had the same idea in their minds, "Isn't this person a demon spy?" Zhou Tongyou smiled proudly and said, "Forget it, I wanted to keep a low profile because I was afraid that you would be under pressure and we were about to say goodbye, so I won't pretend anymore. I am Zhou Tongyou of Taixuan Sect." As soon as these words came out, Zhenqin and the others were stunned, which made Zhou Tongyou even more happy. He even raised his chin and looked at Guan. wanting to see Gu En's shocked expression. Gu En's face was moved, which made Zhou Tongyou's mood leap into high gear. However, Zhenqin suddenly made a cold shot. Are you very famous? Zhou Tongyou's pupils slowly dilated and his whole person froze. Gu En was afraid that he would change his mind and stay again, so he said, it's really big. To suppress all the younger disciples of Taixuan Sect, I didn't expect, disrespect. When Zhou Tongyou heard this, his expression softened, and Zhenqin and the other two people exclaimed in surprise at the hint from Gu En's eyes. Oh my God! Did I hear that right? It's actually you. How can it be? Zhou Tongyou's face twitched. For some reason, he felt harsh when hearing these words. He took a deep breath and said, your Taixuan sect is going to undergo a big change. Please be more careful on weekdays. Green mountains and green waters will see you again when we are destined. After saying that, he jumped up and turned into a rainbow light, flying towards the sky. The three disciples were all shocked by his movement and stared blankly in the direction he left. Gu En waved his hand and said, let's break up. Practice hard and build a foundation as soon as possible. Don't be qualified to see him again in the future. The three of them bowed quickly and left. Gu En was thinking about Zhou Tongyou's words. Is Taixuan Sect going to undergo major changes? I hope it won't affect his Medicine Valley. He turned and walked towards his attic. After going upstairs and entering the house, he closed the door, then walked to the desk and sat down. He took out a pen and paper and began to ponder the books of Gu Zong and his son. The final volume of Fengshen Yanni has been sent to the library, and now it's time to write a new book. After the Romance of the Gods, he was bound to write Journey to the West, but he was afraid that the influence would be too great, so he put it aside for the time being and wrote a novel about Gu Zong and his son to reduce the popularity and make Pan'an look less divine. Recently, the outer disciples have praised Pan'an as a living immortal, which makes Gu En a little uneasy. He plans to write a second book using the plot of a classic online novel he has read in his previous life. Gu Zong has been cultivating immortals for 500 years and is famous in the world of immortality. He is the strongest elder of Taixuan Sect. In the year when his Taoist companion gave birth to his youngest son, the devil invaded and Taixuan Sect suffered a disaster. Gu Zong used his magical power calling on the power of heaven and earth to destroy the demonic path, and he also fell into the space crack caused by the magical power. Everyone thought he was dead, but little did they know that he landed on an isolated island overseas and accidentally discovered the immortal inheritance. 20 years later, Gu Zong returned, only to find that his son Gu had been demoted to a handyman disciple because someone had taken away his heavenly spiritual root. Zhou Tongyou and Gu Yu are the same age and have been close friends since childhood. Even though Gu Yu was demoted, he still looked forward to Gu Yu's rise. After hundreds of years of enmity, the two became the pillars of Taixuan Sect and guarded the peace of the world of immortality. After Gu En thought about it, his eyes became brighter. He put pen to paper. Chapter 1, The Fallen Genius. In the spring of the second year after Zhou Tongyou left, Gu En went to a foreign school to make letters. Lu Chang was very interested in his Taixuan immortal master and took him to chat for a long time. When leaving the library, Gu En heard the discussions among the disciples. It was said that the sect leader Lu Baidian had gone crazy in his cultivation and died accidentally. The elder Chu Tianqi took over as the sect leader. Gu En was secretly shocked. The sect leader was killed. He quickly left the outer gate city and rushed to the third Medicine Valley. After entering the valley, he saw Gu Yu waiting here. Behind Gu Yu stood a stooped old man, skinny as a stick, with white hair, wearing shabby cloth, and looking at various parts with his eyes. When Gu Yu saw him flying with his sword, a smile appeared on his face. He stood up and said, "You are finally back. This is my father's distant relative. You can call him Mr. Tian. His spiritual qualifications are mediocre and he will have no hope in his life. Zhu Ji, I will help you in Yaogu from now on. You can send him as you like." Gu En looked at the old man, his eyes changing slightly. Lu Baidian, 6th level of Qi Training Realm 742/850/3200. Thanks to the book friend 2023102520340941 for the reward of 100 Qijian coins. Today's monthly tickets increased dramatically. Thank you all for voting. Chapter 56, Destiny Returns to G. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liu Beidian, isn't this the leader who just died? Guan thought of many possibilities, but his expression did not change much. He asked curiously, since he is a distant relative of your father, why don't you arrange a better place? My medicine valley is dirty and tiring. Daotian smiled and said, Taixuan Sect was not built by my father. Being arranged in this medicine valley is better than the medicine valley of the outer sect. From his appearance, it seems that he does not know the true identity of Mr. Tian. Guan could not refuse directly. Wouldn't refusing mean that he knew the true identity of Mr. Tian? Guyu pulled Guan upstairs. From beginning to end, Mr. Tian did not look back at Guan. After entering the house, Guyu closed the door. He turned around and asked excitedly, how is it? The book should be out, right? Guan smiled and said, it's out. After careful consideration, I let you become the protagonist. Really? Really, you will see it soon. Guan smiled and nodded. Han An's name has been spread throughout the Taixuan cultivation world. The second book he wrote will definitely be promoted vigorously by Taixuan, especially since it contains the 3 words Taixuan. This book can be regarded as satisfying the ideas of the senior management. After this book, Guan will not write about them again. It is worth mentioning that this time when the book was distributed, the library gave him an extra 20% of the profit, which was given by Taixuan. Hearing Guan's words, Guyu suddenly became excited. He took out a spiritual stone from the storage bag and slammed it heavily on the table, saying, thank you. Guan looked at the spiritual stone on the table and raised his eyebrows. What a rich spiritual energy. Guyu smiled proudly and said, this is a top-grade spirit stone, worth 100 top-grade spirit stones. I only have 2 in my hand, and they were given to me by my mother. It's sincere enough, right? You can write with confidence. I can help you with anything else. 100 top-grade spirit stones. Guan was moved by this. This guy was really full of ambition. The gap between the rich and the poor in the world of immortal cultivation is too big. This top-grade spirit stone is equivalent to 1 million low-grade spirit stones. The monthly salary of a menial disciple is only 1 low-grade spirit stone. What a rich man. Guan felt sour in his heart, then accepted the top-grade spirit stone and smiled, I won't let you down. Guyu was very excited and began to ask about the details of the book, but Guan was very tight-lipped, which made him look forward to it even more. Not long after staying, Guyu left. Guan guessed that he was going to the library. After bidding farewell to Guyu, Guan came to Old Tian and introduced himself. Old Tian did the same, with a very respectful attitude, and he didn't look like the leader of Taixuan Sect at all. Old Tian, 742 years old, currently has a lifespan of 850 years, which means he can only live another 108 years. Guan guessed that it was related to his injury. With the realm of the sect leader, his current lifespan is at least close to 2,000 years. Then, Guan took him around, introduced the situation of the Medicine Valley, and told him what to do in daily life. Old Tian listened carefully, and from time to time he asked what kind of herbs he passed by were. He seemed to be really interested in farming life. Did he really fall into the realm because he was possessed? When Guan heard about the sect leader's experience before, he subconsciously thought that the sect leader was plotted against. After all, the battle between the sect leader and the elders lasted for many years. Now it seems that Old Tian's state is not the case. The lifespan detection will not lie to him. The man in front of him is the sect leader Liu Beidian. The arrival of Mr. Tian did not change the rhythm of life in the Third Medicine Valley. Zhen Qin and the other 2 usually practiced most of the time and did not communicate with him much. However, every time Guan came back, he would chat with Mr. Tian. Half a year passed quickly. Autumn came, and the fallen leaves flew into Tianya Valley. Guan stood on the path between the parks, watching the 3 monkey demons sweeping the dead leaves. In the distance, Luo Hun sat on the hillside, holding the Qingxia travel notes in his hand, reading it very seriously, with his gun standing next to him, and a trace of spiritual energy penetrated into it, forming a faint whirlwind. Suddenly, Guan noticed something and glanced into the distance. He only took a glance and then retracted his gaze. Not long after, a figure came from the entrance of the valley. The man was dressed in a black and white long robe, elegant, and holding a folding fan in his hand, Li Xiandao. After many years, the Taixuan Emperor is still as elegant as ever. Guan turned his head and threw a lifespan probe, the 9th level of the God Transformation Realm. Luo Han on the hillside also noticed Li Xiandao's arrival. He quickly stood up, put Qingxia travels into his storage bag, and then went down the mountain with his gun. Luo Han came to Li Xiandao to salute first, followed by Guan. Li Xiandao walked towards the Medicine Valley attic, turned his head and asked Guan beside him, "How is it? Are you satisfied with my Medicine Valley?" Guan replied, "Very good, beyond my expectations. Some high-level herbs are unheard of. Fortunately His Majesty provided me with a herbal book." Forgot what I told you before. Uncle. That's right. Li Xiandao laughed, and Luo Han, who was standing on the other side of him, was moved. Uncle. Luo Han seemed to think of something, and his eyes became strange. The three of them came to the attic talking and laughing. Li Xiandao sat down at the stone table, and Luo Han immediately poured him a glass of wine. Li Xiandao raised his hand to signal Guan to sit down as well. He looked at Guan and asked, "Li, you should have returned to Taixuan Sect, right?" Guan nodded and said, "He came back last year." "Did he tell you about his experiences over the years?" "Yes, Uncle should have sent someone to follow him, right?" "How dare you send people to follow him? It's just that there are spies everywhere. Tell me, how can he, a monk at the Foundation Establishment Realm, escape from the possession of a great monk at the Divine Transformation Realm? What secrets does he hide in his body?" That when Li Xiandao asked this question, he picked up the wine glass, drank it down in one gulp, and then looked at Guan with a smile. Guan frowned and said, "Secret? He didn't tell me, and it's impossible for me to ask him directly." Li Xiandao said with a half-smile, "My son has mediocre qualifications since he was a child, and he is the one with the worst qualifications among my children. But since he joined the Taixuan Sect, he has soared into the sky and constantly surprises me. If he can grow up, of course I'm happy, but I'm just afraid that he will be taken advantage of by someone with ulterior motives." Guan looked at his expression and suddenly couldn't judge his attitude towards Liya, but no matter what, Guan's heart must be towards Liya. "Then I'll ask around the corner later." Guan muttered, "He just said that, he wouldn't ask." Li Xiandao nodded with satisfaction. He turned to look at Luo Han who was standing next to him, and asked with a smile, "Luo Han, do you think Liya has the qualifications to be the heir apparent?" Luo Han's face changed slightly, and he said solemnly, "The general will not dare to overstep his bounds." You are so boring." Li Xiandao shook his head and laughed. He looked at Guan again, and Guan quickly said, "Uncle, don't ask me this kind of thing. I don't want to cause trouble, I just want to plant grass and flowers for you." "Ha ha ha." Li Xiandao laughed loudly, lifted the wine jar next to him, and poured it directly into his mouth, much more boldly than before. After that, he picked up another jar of wine and continued to pour it into his mouth. Guan realized something was wrong. The emperor had something on his mind. Luo Han also noticed it. He frowned and asked, "Your Majesty, what happened?" After Li Xiandao drank 3 jars of wine in one breath, he smiled and said, "It's not a big deal. You must have watched The Romance of the Gods, right?" Luo Han nodded and said, "It's well written. Don't you like it too?" "I really like it, but recently some people criticized me through The Romance of the Gods, saying that I am King Zhou, and the Li family has been in power for 500 years. It is time for someone to take the throne, and the destiny belongs to Ji. In recent years, the Ji family has often sent its children to various places to kill monsters. The reputation of slaying demons is getting louder and more popular," Li Xiandao said with a chuckle. Guan's heart skipped a beat. Luo Han was furious and said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty, who said that Ji is the destiny? The general is always at your disposal. Even if Panan is to be killed, the general is willing to go. Good guy. I won't bring you Qing Xia's travel notes." Guan was indignant in his heart. but his face pretended to be worried. Li Xiandao snorted, "Idiot, if you kill Panin, won't you prove that I am narrow-minded? I can't even tolerate a writer." That when Guan heard this, he was very satisfied with Li Xiandao. "This is the wise king. Don't be afraid, your majesty, my next book will be Journey to the West, in which the emperor's surname is Li." Although Journey to the West has a critical meaning, it is aimed at the Jade Emperor, and the image of Li Shimin in the book is still very good. Although there is no heaven in this world, there is a world of immortality. It is not bad to criticize the world of immortality. It is in line with the current monk's expectations for Panin. As long as he does not name Taixuan, it will be fine. While Guan was thinking, Luo Hun was still angry. Every state and state pastor has a background, and they are increasingly outside the control of the court. Nowadays, public resentment is everywhere. Using the novel to criticize me is probably just their first step. One day, the sword will hang in front of me. I need to cultivate my own strength is very useful in Tianya Valley, so don't let me down. Li Xiandao smiled. He stood up and walked towards the park. Guan and Luo Hun quickly followed. 3 full days passed before Li Xiandao left. During these 3 days, Li Xiandao always took the opportunity to reveal his expectations for Li Ye to Guan. The more this happened, Guan always felt that it was not that simple. Anyway, he just let things go in with the left ear and out with the right, and was too lazy to get involved in the matters between father and son. After Li Xiandao left, Guan also chose to leave. Before leaving, Luo Hun told him not to bring the novels of Fengshen in the future, but only the travel notes of Qingxia. In response, Guan chuckled. The seasons change and another 3 years pass. Tianya Valley welcomed the first batch of medicinal herbs to mature this year, and Guan harvested nearly 5,000 years of life in one go, which made him feel happy. Starting from this year, his lifespan annual income will skyrocket. Currently, his total lifespan has exceeded 70,000 years, and he will continue to hit a million-year lifespan. On this day, Guan brought Su Han and Zhenqin to the outer gate. Both of them have reached the foundation level. In addition to years of practice, Guan also refined many low-level elixirs for them to help them successfully build the foundation. Guan turned around and left after sending them to the outer sect's elders' hall. The handyman disciples had to register at the elders' hall to officially become outer sect disciples. Just as I walked through a street, a familiar voice came, "Senior brother, long time no see." Guan turned around and saw Lu Jiujia, wearing black clothes from the Demon Slayer Hall, walking towards him. Behind Lu Jiujia were 6 other Demon Slayer Hall disciples. "How are you doing?" Guan asked with a smile. Since the change of sect leader, the momentum of the Demon Slayer Hall has greatly increased, even surpassing that of the Law Enforcement Hall. You can always encounter their people when walking in the outer gate city. Lu Jiujia came to him, nodded and said, "It's good. Master just promoted me. Not only the salary is improved, but the power is also greater. Senior brother, if you need anything in the future, you can come to me at any time." He took out a black token from his storage bag and handed it to Guan. Chapter 57, The Wind of the Immortal Lord, the Saintess of Daotian Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guan took the token from the Demon Slayer Hall and did not refuse. He looked at Lu Jiujia and said with a pleased smile, "Not bad. Now you can live the life you wanted." Lu Jiujia felt even happier after hearing this. He smiled and said, "It was really like walking on thin ice in the past few years. I didn't dare to contact you because I was afraid of getting involved. Now that the rain has passed and the sky is clear, we can communicate more often in the future." After the two exchanged a few words, Lu Jiujia and others hurriedly left, saying they were going to capture the demon spies. Guan looked at his back with a slightly complicated mood. The reputation of the Demon Slayer Hall is not good. It is the most powerful clan in the outer sect and also the most hated clan. It is said that if someone in the Demon Slayer Church is offended, the Demon Slayer Church will only need to accuse someone of being a demon spy. It's dead. Guan clearly felt the looks of disgust from the people around him. He didn't think much more and turned to leave. Half an hour later, he came to the third Medicine Valley. As soon as he arrived at the entrance of the Medicine Valley, he saw Mr. Tian standing in front of the stone tablet, holding his beard with one hand. wondering what he was thinking. Over the years, Guan and Mr. Tian have become familiar with each other. Mr. Tian behaves like a handyman disciple. Zhen Qin, Su Han and Yi Yan did not notice his difference. Guan also treats him as a handyman disciple. Mr. Tian, why are you standing here? Guan said hello as he walked towards Mr. Tian. Mr. Tian looked at Guan with a kind smile on his face. He could hardly open his eyelids, giving people the feeling that half of his feet were about to sink into the ground. Valley Master, I'm wondering why this valley is called the Third Medicine Valley. Do you still have 2 medicine valleys? Tian Lao asked with a smile. Guan walked to the stone tablet and chuckled, that's not true. Apart from this valley, I only have 1 medicine valley. The reason why it is called the Third Medicine Valley is to express my principles for dealing with people, which is not to strive for the first place. Second, you can fight for third. I think anything that is too aggressive will cause trouble. The first 3 are all powerful, but third is the safest. When Tian Lao heard this, his eyelids opened slightly, and he fell into thinking. Guan patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, today I brought some roast chicken and wine to try together. This is a spiritual chicken raised by the outer sect. Each one cost me 10 low-grade spiritual stones. Mr. Tian came back to his senses and followed his footsteps. Yi Yan did not practice the gun at the entrance of the valley, but on the path in the center of the park. He stood upright, holding the spear with one hand, closing his eyes and concentrating. In his words, he was realizing the connection between himself and the gun. Guan didn't care about the marksmanship and body tempering methods he practiced. He was not interested in marksmanship, and Zhuanhunglong Qigong was the body tempering method, so he didn't need to practice another one. Yenner, come over and have a drink together to celebrate your senior brother and sister becoming outer disciples. Guan shouted loudly. Mr. Tian asked curiously, in these years, all the medicinal herbs belonging to you have been refined into elixirs for your disciples. What do you want? Even if they are favored by you, the relationship will fade over time. Why not use all the resources? On yourself? And me, I'm old and don't know how long I can live. Wouldn't it be a waste to give me the elixir? After getting along for several years, Mr. Tian had a good impression of Guan. Guan treated him well and did not ignore him like other disciples. He was even willing to share pills to help him improve his cultivation. Before his realm fell, he had no idea that there were such selfless people in Taixuan Sect. He even regretted his previous neglect of the outer door. Guan smiled and said, I have mediocre qualifications and being too obsessed with improving my cultivation will make my life miserable. It is better to give it to the younger generations who still have hope. As for you, Mr. Tian, although you are older than me, you are considered my disciple, so I have to treat them equally. Even if your cultivation level does not increase much, it can still increase your qi and blood and make you live a better life, right? That he looked at Yi Yan with a smile on his face. The sun shone down and shone on the side of his face, which actually touched Mr. Tian. Mr. Tian suddenly thought of what Gu Zong said when he recommended Guan. Despite that boy's low cultivation level, the fact that he can write the romance of the gods shows that he has a broad heart. After gaining fame and fortune, he can still stay in Yaogu and contribute tirelessly to Taixuan Sect. In terms of character, in terms of magnanimity, I think he is better than a great monk in the transitional realm. As he thought about it, the corners of Tian Lao's mouth rose, as if he was infected by Gu and smile. Soon, the 3 of them sat around a stone table and started drinking and eating meat. Guan told what he saw and heard today. In addition to the matter of Zhen Qin and Su Han, he also mentioned the Demon Slayer Hall to see what Mr. Tian's attitude was. However, Mr. Tian was indifferent and just grabbed the chicken leg and smacked his lips. Yi Yan said, I think the Demon Slayer Hall is quite good. I met several demon cultivators in Xian Valley before. The outer gate was really chaotic. The Demon Slayer Hall has a bad reputation. There are probably demon spies secretly there. Fanning the flames. Guan nodded. This was possible. After the Demon Slayer Hall was established, Xian Gu did not encounter any more demon cultivators, and no one from Qianqiu Pavilion came to see him. Master, after I build the foundation, I don't want to stay in Taixuan Sect. I want to join the army. Yi Yan said suddenly, good guy. Are you talking about changing jobs in front of the former owner? Guan asked, why? Yi Yan looked firm and said, Taixuan Sect pursues spiritual qualifications. It is difficult for people like me to get ahead. Moreover, joining the army can kill demons and save the people of the world. My parents were killed by monsters. I have been around since I was a child. I swear, when I learn the magic, I will travel around the world and become a knight who slays demons. Mr. Tian raised his eyes to look at him and nodded slightly. Guan smiled and said, I didn't expect you to have such great ambitions. Master supports you. Yi Yan smiled and immediately raised the wine bowl, toasted Guan, poured another bowl, and touched the bowl with Mr. Tian. The atmosphere became more harmonious. After Yi Yan opened his heart, he became more talkative than usual, and even Mr. Tian became more talkative. Master, are you going to transfer disciples from Xian Valley in the future? Yi Yan asked. Guan shook his head and said, we'll wait until you build your foundation. I'm afraid that other people will disturb your enlightenment. Mr. Tian and I can handle it enough. Each park is on track and daily chores are not too many. Yi Yan was even more moved after hearing this. Guan began to dream about the future with him, drinking wine from one jar after another until he was drunk. At the end of summer, the scorching heat between heaven and earth is receding. Guan stood on the grass in Xian Valley, watching the 4 demon-killing monks fly away, and he remained silent. Wu Xian came over and said, Senior brother, why are you so dazed? There are so many boxes, why don't you come and check them? The 4 people just now were sent by Lu Jiujia to deliver gifts to Xiangu. The 4 of them waited for half a day before leaving. When Guan came back, Guan withdrew his gaze, looked at Wu Xian, and said with a smile, come and count them, they are probably all medicinal herbs. When Wu Xian heard this, a smile appeared on his face. This feeling of being trusted was really great. Now Guan has handed over the management of Xian Valley to Wu Xian. He is only responsible for picking. Wu Xian has no objection to this. Guan can help him share part of the work. How can he resist? What he wanted was power, not driving Guan away. Without Guan, he always felt that Xiangu was missing something, so when Guan was away, he basically practiced. Guan turned around and walked towards the teleportation array. After a while, he came to the 3rd Medicine Valley. Ever since Shenqin and Su Han became outer disciples, this Medicine Valley has become very deserted. After Yi Yan finished his work, he went to practice his spear. Mr. Tian was also a man of few words. Guan walked off the platform and saw Mr. Tian squatting in the park, admiring a 4th-level medicinal herb. The old man was often in a daze, and Guan was used to it. He walked to the attic and took out the Z-Wave array recording to read. In the past year, he has been quietly studying Z-Wave formation records and gained quite a lot of experience. A few hours later, Guan felt something and immediately put the Z-Wave array into his storage bag and waited. Inside the house. Guan! Guan! Come out quickly! Guan heard Guyu's shouts, and his voice grew louder. The guy started shouting loudly before he even landed on the ground. He stood up, walked out of the attic, and stood on the 2nd-floor balcony. He saw Gu Zong and Guyu flying over on a golden wheel at extremely fast speeds. After landing, Gu Zong put the magical weapon into his sleeve. Guyu took a step forward and said excitedly, Guan, you're... Ahem. Gu Zong faked a cough, and Guyu realized something and quickly shut up. Guan stood upstairs and said with a smile, come up and talk. Guyu nodded and hurriedly went upstairs, while Gu Zong turned back and waved to Mr. Tian. A group of 4 people gathered in the house on the 2nd floor. Gu Zong raised his hand to cast a spell, and actually used his hand to create 2 bands on the window sill. Guyu pulled Guan to sit down and said excitedly, Taixuan Immortal Master is completely finished. The entire world of immortal cultivation is watching. Not only that, but other surrounding dynasties and sects have also purchased this book from Taixuan Sect. When Taixuan Immortal Lord first came out a few years ago, how many people ridiculed Pan Anjiang for not being so talented. I didn't expect that in just a few years, they would all be following him, expecting me, Guyu, to prove my reputation as a genius. Seeing his excited look, Guan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was not surprised at all that Taixuan Immortal Lord was so popular. After all, this story of rising up against the will of heaven and slapping a strong man in the face would definitely have a huge emotional impact on the world of immortality. Guzong said, I came here today not only to talk about this matter, but also to do with it. The saint of Daotian Sect is going to come to Taixuan Sect to practice. She is here for you. Daotian Sect comes from Taixuan Sect. The Daoyu dynasty adjacent to the Tsang dynasty is the first sect of the Daoyu dynasty, and its saint is the daughter of the leader of the Daotian Sect. Her arrival will allow Taixuan Sect and the Daotian Sect to establish a long-term friendly relationship. I will have to bring the Taoist saint to see you then. Don't worry, this matter will not be spread. You only need to see her. She has promised not to expose your identity. Guan felt dizzy after hearing this. Have I become a part of diplomacy? Guzong stroked his beard and said with a smile, Taixuan Immortal Lord has played a great role in promoting the development of Taixuan Sect. The Presbyterian Hall appreciates you very much. If you can let the Daotian Sect saint stay, the Presbyterian Hall will give you a gift. A sapling of a 7th-level spiritual tree. Once this tree grows, it will significantly improve the local spiritual energy. Even if your qualifications are mediocre, it will not be difficult to form a pill in the future. Originally I wanted to give you skills and high-level magic weapons, but you said that you resisted fighting and only liked to grow flowers and grass, so I changed it to a 7th-level spiritual tree. This tree can also help the harvest of the entire Medicine Valley. It has many benefits. Inestimable. Thanks for the reward of 1,315 starting coins from Dazizi, and the reward of 100 starting coins from the rookie who doesn't understand literature. It's the last week for new books to hit the list. Please give me monthly votes, follow-up reading, and recommendation votes. Chapter 58. If you were asked to be the leader of a sect, what would you do? You are listening at novelfull.audio. 7th level spiritual tree. This is the rank of Kangvine tree. Taixuan can actually produce a spiritual tree that is comparable to the Qianqiu Pavilion holy tree. Could it be that the Tsang trees in the 8 Views cave are not considered true holy trees, or have they not fully grown yet? Guan suddenly became excited. He really couldn't refuse such a treasure. What's so hard about leaving the saint behind? Doesn't she like reading books? Write her some extra stories about the romance of the gods. When will the saint arrive? Guan took a deep breath and asked. Instead of showing the joy in his heart, he pretended to be worried and deep. Guzong smiled and said, it will come in a year at most, so you don't have to be stressed. Guyu on the side said jokingly, don't worry about others asking you to marry me. After all, there is a gap in cultivation. She just likes your books. Guan nodded. He is not that narcissistic. There are so many people in the world who like the romance of the gods. Guzong looked at Mr. Tian who was standing aside and asked, how are you enjoying your time here? Mr. Tian nodded and said, it's good. The Valley Master treats me very well. Guan felt helpless. Was it because Guzong brought his distant relative in for fear that he would not suspect? No. You have to do everything in your drama. Guan looked at Guzong and hesitated to speak. Guzong seemed to see his confusion and said with a smile, he has known your identity Panon for a long time. It is precisely because he likes the romance of the gods that I asked him to come here. Apart from him, there is also the Elder Hall. Don't worry if people know about it, we are more afraid of your Pan's identity being exposed now than you are. Before the advent of Fengshen Yeni, there had always been disciples writing books, but Pan's impact was unprecedented. No one could have thought that books could bring more disciples and practice resources to a sect, and even help the sect and other power diplomacy, especially after the book Taixuan Immortal Lord was published. The eyes of the whole world fell on Taixuan, and he who stood in a high position could see it most clearly. Guan breathed a sigh of relief. Guyu suddenly said, Zhou Tongyou is very kind to Guyu. I take back what I said before and don't let Guyu bully him. Guan looked at him with a strange expression. Guzong smiled and said, my image is not bad either. No matter where I go, I hear people mentioning my name and asking me when will I come back to take care of that evil person for my son. Ahem, we can't reveal it in advance. Once we tell it, there will be no suspense. 2. Guan changed the subject and asked about the saint of Daotian religion. He had to find out as much as possible in order to better face the saint of Daotian religion. Gu Zong began to introduce the saint. Shenzhen, Sanlingen, is the youngest daughter of the leader of the Daotian sect. Her aptitude is not top-notch, but she has a high understanding of music and music. She loves playing music, chess, calligraphy and painting. Just listening to the introduction, Guan felt that Shenzhen's personality was not strong. He likes music, chess, calligraphy and painting, and must have a good temper. Late at night, the 8 views cave sky, under the cane tree, Guan was practicing sword practice, practicing the wood spirit sword technique. The wood spirit sword technique was taught by Zhou Lin when he was trying to test Guan's depth. This sword technique was not a rare sword technique and could be purchased in the outer city, because it has a wood attribute. Guan plans to practice it by himself without investing his life in this sword technique. However, is real time not lifespan? Relying on his attainments in the Taixuan Sect sword and his current aptitude for the top 5 elements heavenly spiritual roots, Guan found a sense of genius in the wood spirit sword technique. He has mastered the wood spirit swordsmanship and is now pursuing a higher realm. According to his summary, from low to high, they are beginners, first glimpses of the door, entry into the hall, slight success, mastery, perfection, and return to nature. It feels like playing a game to improve your proficiency, which makes Guan very interesting. The 1-foot-long Haolong stared at Guan practicing his sword on the tree. Now it has the majesty of a real dragon and is not crooked. Guan moved around within a radius of 3 feet under the tree, creating afterimages, as if there were nearly 10 of him practicing sword practice. The Tiansu sword in his hand was extremely sharp, and his energy was overflowing. This energy could be hit 2 feet away. It dissipated without damaging those flowers and plants. After practicing for an hour, Guan just stopped. Chang, the Tiansu sword was sheathed and made a light sound like a dragon's roar. He threw the Tiansu sword into his storage bag and stretched. Haolong descended from the sky and made a childish voice like a boy. Master, you are so powerful, can you teach me? Guan glanced at it and asked with a smile, can your dragon claws hold a sword? Can't you use your claws as swords? Haolong asked, blinking his eyes. When Guan heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. There is something. He immediately took out the sword manual of the wood spirit sword technique that he had drawn from his storage bag. He threw it to Haolong and said, then you can practice it by yourself. When I come back, ask me if you don't understand anything. Haolong grabbed the sword manual with its claws and said quickly, remember to bring me roast chicken. Guan smiled and nodded, then turned and left. Haolong landed, placed the sword manual on the ground, and flipped through it with his paws. After leaving Baiying Cave, Guan walked into the mountain forest. Under the night, the mountain forest was full of snow, but he left no footprints. Early the next morning, Guan had just finished practicing with his disciples and was about to go to the third medicine valley, when Yilan came. Junior sister is here, so Guan naturally has to accompany her. The two went into the attic to chat. Guan first asked about her current situation. No matter how busy she was, she would come to visit Guan every year. It was impossible for Guan not to be moved. Since last year, disciples from the outer sect have often disappeared. No matter how hard we investigate, we can't find the real culprit. But the exorcist hall can always find the spies of the demon sect to admit their guilt. Yilan sighed. After the change of the sect leader, she and Lu Jiujia no longer contacted each other. The main reason was that the two halls didn't get along well. They were already incompatible. Guan smiled and said, then let the exorcist hall catch them. It's just right that you can have time to practice. Yilan shook her head and said, it's not that simple. The head of the exorcist hall wants to annex the law enforcement hall, and the elder of the outer sect seems to have the intention. If our law enforcement hall does nothing, it will be disbanded sooner or later. It's okay. If it is disbanded, I can come back at worst. The elixirs that senior brother can provide are not worse than the treatment of the law enforcement hall. That won't work. If you give it to me, what will you do? Yilan refused directly. her face very serious. Seeing this, Guan couldn't say much, so he could only change the subject and talk about other things. Because Yilan wanted to stay for a few more days, Guan decided to stay in Xian Valley until after the Spring Festival. After the Spring Festival, the winter snow completely melted. Guan went to Tianya Valley first, harvested thousands of years of life, and then sowed seeds. After 2 days, he came to the third Medicine Valley. There are many people in Xian Valley, and there are 3 monkey monsters in Tianya Valley. They are not deserted, but the third Medicine Valley is different. Every time Guan comes, it is dead silent. Yi Yen and Tian Lao both enjoy this silence, and they don't disturb each other. Guan walked into a park and began to pick mature herbs. Tian Lao came over and asked curiously, "Why do you always pick them yourself?" Guan replied, "I have to do something, and I pick them by hand and wrap them up. I will have a sense of self-satisfaction that I am contributing to the sect." Hearing this, Tian Lao smiled and said, "You are indeed making contributions, not self-satisfaction. I hope the senior management above thinks so too." Guan chuckled while picking. Tian Lao suddenly asked, "If I let you become the leader, what would you do?" Guan's heart trembled, but his actions did not stop. He said unhappily, "Don't think about it. You are not the leader. How can you let me do it? And I can only manage Yaogu, not the millions of disciples of Taixuan Sect. With my cultivation, who can accept it if I really become the leader?" That he doesn't want to be the leader. He wants to practice in a low-key manner, but doesn't want to face the pressure. If he becomes the leader, if he encounters an invincible enemy, can he escape? Guan is not a die-hard fan of Taixuan Sect. Tian Lao smiled and stopped asking. After Guan finished picking, he followed Guan to the attic. "In fact, I know a set of amazing skills. Do you want to learn it? Even the elders of Guzong don't know it." Tian Lao suddenly asked. "If you don't want to learn, why not write a book if you have that time? You can see that I don't practice normally. My cultivation depends on pills. You are still young, why is it like this? You don't understand, this is called enjoying life. I like to do what I can, of course, this is just me, everyone's pursuit is different." Guan said casually, "Why is this old guy talking so much today? Want to destroy my Taoism?" Old Tian wanted to continue talking, but suddenly there was a sound from the sky. The two turned their heads and saw Guzong flying over with a magic weapon. Behind him stood a woman in black, wearing a black veil, revealing only a pair of bright and moving eyes. "Is the saint of Daotian Sect here?" Guan asked old Tian to put the herbs into the house first, and he turned around to greet Guzong and the others. He threw a lifespan probe. Shenzhen, Jia Dan Realm Level 278/660/1050. After the golden will landed, Guzong smiled and said, "Guan, this is the Saintess of Daotian Sect, Shenzhen, you must treat her well." That he turned to face Shenzhen. Shenzhen raised his hand to salute him. He nodded, stepped on the golden wheel and left quickly. Shenzhen looked at Guan, and looked at Guan carefully with a pair of eyes. Just by looking at her eyes, you can imagine that she is a rare beauty. Guan raised his hand to salute, and said, "I am Guan, meet Miss Shen." Shenzhen nodded slightly and asked curiously, "Which one do you like better, the investiture of the gods or Taixuan Immortal?" "That you test me right away." Guan said calmly, "I like both. People can't like only one book. Different moods will make you want to read different books, right?" That when Shenzhen heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. "In fact, I have also written a book, you can take a look." Shenzhen said with a blink of his eyes. Guan naturally would not refuse, and said, "Let's go upstairs and read." Shenzhen nodded, and then followed Guan to the second floor of the attic. Guan wanted to open the door. After all, it would be awkward for a man and a woman to be alone in a room, but Shenzhen closed the door. The two walked to the table and sat down. Shenzhen took out a book from the storage bag. Her brows were slightly frowned, and she seemed a little hesitant. After thinking about it, she handed the book in her hand to Guan. Guan took it and looked at it, and his eyelids twitched wildly. Black Knight's Travels. What the hell? Thanks to Xingling Blood for rewarding 5,000 starting coins, Xianro Xiawantan for rewarding 500 starting coins, Jiqiu Dizizi for rewarding 233 starting coins, King Fengxi for rewarding 100 starting coins, Yan Gu Piaoxiang for rewarding 100 starting coins. The second update will be left at 12 noon, and the original update time will be restored, updating at 0 o'clock and 12 noon, because the new book period is about to end. There is no need to be stuck, and the number of words updated every day will not be less. Chapter 59 Demonic Disaster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The title of this book is not interesting. Guan suddenly didn't dare to open the book. Could it be that Qingxia Travels was written by Shenzhen? Then his filter on the author will be broken. That's not right. Shenzhen came from the Daotian sect of the Dayu dynasty. How could he publish a book in Taixuan Sect? After thinking about it, Guan calmed down and began to read the travel notes of the Black Knight. Shenzhen lowered his eyes and looked at the table. His ears exposed and his long hair were slightly red. After Guan read the first page, he breathed a sigh of relief. She is not the author of Qingxia's Travels. The difference between the lines and Qingxia's Travels is obvious, but it can also be seen that she is indeed imitating Qingxia's Travels. He read on patiently. Every story in Qingxia's Travels begins with the local landscape, describing the scenery first, and then describing the interactions between people. The same is true for Hexia's Travels. However, Shenzhen's experience is obviously not as good as that of the author of Qingxia's Travels. The landscape painting in the book is slightly lacking, at least in Guan's eyes. It is not as graphic as Qingxia's Travels. The room fell into silence. At the back, Shenzhen stood up and looked at the bookshelf next to him. Half an hour passed before Guan closed the Black Knight travel notes. Shenzhen, holding a book, turned around and asked, "How was it?" Guan asked, "Do you like Qingxia Travels?" Shenzhen stood in front of the bookshelf, nodded slightly, and said, "Aside from the practice of martial arts, the first book I read was Qingxia's Travels, but my favorite is your Taixuan Immortal." "Okay, it's very vulgar yet true." Guan smiled and said, "Actually, I also like Qingxia's Travels. It was because I read Qingxia's Travels that I couldn't help but want to write it." Shenzhen came over immediately. Her mood was obviously more excited than before, her eyes were shining, and she started chatting with Guan about Qingxia's travel notes. Although her Travels of the Black Knight also contain the feelings between men and women, they are not as explicit as the Travels of the Green Knight, and they fall into the category of normal books. Through Qingxia's travel notes, the relationship between the two quickly became closer. They talked from Qingxia's Travels to Fengshen Yanni, and then to Taixuan Immortal Lord. For a long time, Guan couldn't help but ask, "Have you ever met the author of Qingxia's Travels?" Shenzhen shook his head slightly and said, "Although I like his Qingxia Travels very much, I feel that he is not serious and I don't want to see him." "You are different. From Fengshen Yanni to Taixuan Xianzuan, the styles are very different, which makes me. You are curious." When Guan heard this, he felt a little regretful. Who is Qingxia? This is his biggest curiosity in Taixuan Sect. After writing Taixuan Immortal Lord, will you continue to write about orthodoxy battles similar to the Romance of the Gods? Shenzhen looked at Guan and asked. Guan answered ambiguously, "Probably. What about you, Miss Shen? Will you stay in Taixuan next time?" Shenzhen smiled and said, "Taixuan is putting pressure on you. In fact, we just need a name. Daotian Sect also needs to join forces with Taixuan to intimidate other sects in the Yu dynasty and face the demons together." Catastrophe. Guan raised his eyebrows and asked, "What is the Great Demon Tribulation?" On this continent, there are 9 neighboring dynasties, including Taicang and Dayu. The 9 dynasties expelled powerful monsters, so the areas outside the 9 dynasties became a place where monsters were in chaos. Now, the monsters outside it has reached the point where it threatens the 9 dynasties. Even if the immortal sects from all sides often send out disciples to kill demons, the outside area is vast, and there are always some demons with extraordinary talents growing up. For at least 100 years, the 9 dynasties will usher in demons that have been rare in thousands of years. There will be a great calamity and the dynasty will be destroyed. When Shenzhen talked about this, his eyes were solemn. After Guan heard this, he felt pressure rushing towards him. he has already imagined the scene of the mountains and rivers being shattered, the Taixuan Sect's front line being unable to support itself, and the handyman disciples being forced to go to the battlefield. No. Within 100 years, the lifespan must reach 1,000,000 years. After unlocking the next function, the cultivation level will be greatly improved. Guan secretly thought, and he asked, in that case, why don't you practice hard and still think about writing a book? Although Shenzhen is not as good as Ji Xiaoyu, Zhou Tongyou, or Liya, his qualifications are not bad, and he also relies on the Taoist sect. As long as he wants to practice, he can definitely climb up. Hearing this, Shenzhen chuckled and said, everyone has his own destiny. Cultivation is not my destiny. I prefer reading and writing books. What if I achieve enlightenment in books one day? Who said that you have to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to achieve enlightenment? Looking at all kinds of books, from ancient times to the present, it seems that there are no monks who are still alive today. Guan couldn't help but look at her differently. How dare you think about it? The two chatted for a while, and Shenzhen was about to leave. Guan stood up to say goodbye. When she came downstairs, she summoned a flying sword, jumped on it, and flew to the sky after leaving a sentence, Master Gu, I will set up my cave nearby, and we can communicate more when we have time in the future. Guan looked at her leaving back with a smile on his face. What he was happy about was not that Shenzhen wanted to live nearby, but that the 7th level spiritual tree was here. Taixuan moved very quickly. Less than 3 days after Shenzhen left, the saplings of the 7th order spiritual tree arrived, sent by Guzong himself. After Guzong left, Guan carried the sapling of the 7th level spiritual tree to the center of the park. Called a sapling, the tree was already 1 foot tall. Guan planted it on the grass connecting the 4 parks. Mr. Tian and Yi Yan stood behind and watched. After planting, Guan looked at the tree with a bright smile on his face. Xian Qingshu, 7th level 48/8999/65,000. The ultimate lifespan of 65,000 years is simply incomparable to mortals. Mr. Tian smiled and said, the Xianqing tree is not simple. Although it cannot bear fruit, practicing under the tree can calm the mind and refresh the mind. That when Guan heard this, his smile became even brighter and he said, Mr. Tian, from now on you must keep an eye on the Xianqing tree and don't let it slip up in the slightest. Don't worry, it's buried in the ground, and its vitality is stronger than my old bones. Hearing what Mr. Tian said, Guan shook his head and laughed. This old man had a bit of humor in him. Then, Guan turned and left. Mr. Tian and Yi Yan were chatting in front of the tree and did not follow his footsteps. Guan came all the way to the edge of the Medicine Valley near the mountain wall. A tree was planted in this grassland, but there was no sign of growth yet. It was the root of the 6th level spiritual tree, the human face tree, that Yilan had gifted before. This tree root has been buried for several years and has been in a state of resuscitation. With an age of 0, Guan once tried to use his wood attribute spiritual power to help it, but it was like a bottomless pit, absorbing his spiritual power without any effect. He squatted in front of the roots of the human-faced tree. The roots were in the soil, with only the wooden tip sticking out. After watching it for a while, Guan suddenly felt a subtle spiritual energy flowing from the ground to the human-faced tree. When he followed the source, he found that it came from the Xianqing tree. Could it be that the Xianqing tree can help the human-faced tree to resurrect? Guan was pleasantly surprised, but also a little worried. He was afraid that the human-faced tree would suck the Xianqing tree dry. After all, this thing came from Qianqiu Pavilion, and the name seemed a bit evil. If the human-faced tree is really evil when it grows up, then Guan will pull it out, but he can't let it destroy the 3rd Medicine Valley. Guan felt that someone needed to keep an eye on it to prevent this thing from growing quietly. Yi Yan has reached the 8th level of the Qi training realm. He basically relies on elixirs to improve his cultivation. He practices spears all day long. Although he is absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth while wielding the spear, the improvement in his cultivation is not significant. After he leaves, it's time to recruit some people. Just after midsummer, the 43-year-old Guan came to the outer gate city. He first went to submit a manuscript, and then wandered around the streets. He found that the outer city was not as lively as before. There were still many disciples walking on the street, but most of them looked serious and spoke in a low voice. Guan looked up and saw 4 Demon Slayer Hall disciples falling from the sky and landing in front of an attic in the distance. They surrounded a disciple who had just left the building and began to interrogate him. The disciple was very angry, and the two sides had a quarrel, and then started fighting. When one of the Demon Slayer Hall disciples showed his token, the disciple gave up, and was escorted away by them. After so many years of catching demon spies, you haven't caught them yet? Guan frowned. He was just confused and had no intention of interfering. As long as he didn't get caught on his head, he walked towards the Beast Hall, planning to raise a few monster beasts in the Third Medicine Valley so that Mr. Tian would not feel lonely. Mr. Tian works hard and has gained Guan's favor. He now really treats Mr. Tian as his handyman disciple. Half an hour later, Guan walked from the gate of the Beast Hall with 3 more bags on his waist. These were animal control bags, which contained living creatures, but each bag could only hold 1 monster. As soon as he walked out, by coincidence, he bumped into Lu Jiujia. This time, Lu Jiujia was alone. He walked towards the Beast Hall with a gloomy face, but when he saw Guan, a smile immediately appeared on his face and he walked forward quickly. "Senior brother, are you here to buy monsters?" Lu Jiujia asked with a warm smile. His face was paler than before, there was an evil aura between his brows, and his whole person exuded a sinister aura. Guan nodded and asked with concern, "You seem to be looking a little bad, are you okay?" "What can I do? I'm just too tired from practicing recently." Lu Jiujia shook his head. Guan noticed that there was demonic energy in his body, which was very hidden and difficult to detect without looking carefully. Is this guy a demon cultivator? Lu Jiujia refused to say more, so Guan naturally couldn't ask more questions. The two exchanged pleasantries for a few words, and Lu Jiujia reminded him before leaving, "Senior brother, don't go out of the valley at night. There have been powerful demonic cultivators sneaking into the outer gate recently." After that, he turned and left. Guan looked at his back and walked towards the Third Medicine Valley without thinking too much. After arriving at the Third Medicine Valley, he released the 3 spirit dogs he had just bought. They were all of the bloodline of 2nd-level monster beasts, and the price was not low. "I plan to stay in Xian Valley recently, and you will take care of them." Guan warned Mr. Tian. Mr. Tian nodded, and Guan turned around and walked towards the teleportation array. I don't know if it was an illusion, but when Guan was standing on the teleportation array, he noticed that Mr. Tian looked at him with some worry. Before he could think too much, the formation was activated and he came to Xian Valley. As soon as he arrived at Xian Valley, Guan felt a familiar aura. Liya. He walked down from the formation platform and looked into the distance, only to see Liya teaching his disciples how to practice swordsmanship, and even Xiaochuan was practicing along with him. After Liya confessed, he turned around and walked towards Guan. After the two met, Guan asked curiously, "Why are you here?" Level 1 of the Dan Formation Realm. At the age of 45, he was in the Dan Formation Realm, 5 years behind Jiang Qiong. Liya chuckled and said, "I'm here to protect you. I heard that the demon king of Taixuan Sect sneaked into the outer gate. I don't trust you. I want to wait until the matter is settled before going to the inner gate. Thanks to Shadow War for the reward of 1,000 starting coins, and I just asked Azazai for the reward of 500 starting coins." Chapter 60 Ancestor, Save Me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Can you deal with that demon king? Guan asked with a look of doubt. Liya smiled proudly, "I have already formed a pill, don't underestimate me. The Jindan realm is only an inner disciple in Taixuan Sect, can it fight against the demon king? You kid, I came all the way to protect you, and you still despise me. I'm afraid that you will be like you did back then. Have you forgotten that you rushed out to deal with the greedy and angry demon ghost, but ended up injured and fell to the ground? Can you stop mentioning it?" The two began to quarrel. Being squeezed by Guan, Liya was not angry at all, because he could feel that Guan had good intentions and was afraid of implicating him. Little did he know that what Guan was worried about was not implicating, but dragging him down. "Brother, if the demon king comes, you are next to me, I can't do it." Guan couldn't say his true thoughts, and Liya insisted on staying, so he could only give up. "By the way, have you seen junior brother Lu recently?" Guan asked. Liya shook his head and said, "I haven't seen him. I met him before." He joined the Demon Exorcist Hall. I don't get along with the elders of the Demon Exorcist Hall, so we didn't have any contact anymore. Speaking of this, his face was indifferent, and he didn't take Lu Jiujia to heart at all. Although he was enthusiastic about Guan, he was actually very cold to others. Let's go upstairs and have a good chat. I heard that you got another Medicine Valley, and it's still in the inner gate. You have to tell me about it. Liya pulled Guan upstairs. This chat lasted until late at night. Guan did not mention his identity as Panin, but said that the harvest of Xian Valley satisfied the higher-ups, so he was assigned another Medicine Valley. Li Xiandao was criticized because of the conferred gods. How dare Guan tell Liya about Panin's identity? What if Liya let it slip? After all, they are father and son. No matter how big the conflict is, before the complete break, the relationship is closer than with Guan. At the turn of summer and autumn, the temperature is still a little hot. 10 days had passed since Liya arrived. Xian Valley had not encountered any danger during these 10 days. Guan also went out to take care of the caves of those outer disciples. Liya insisted on accompanying him, but when he arrived at the caves, he did not go in, fearing that he would cause trouble for Guan. Guan wanted Liya to stay in Xian Valley to protect the disciples, but Liya did not care about others at all. In his words, he was able to teach swordsmanship to those disciples for Guan's sake. In the evening of this day, Guan was picking mature herbs, while Liya was meditating on the top of the mountain on the west side. The setting sun was just hanging over his head, making him look like a peerless master. Suddenly, Guan noticed something. His right hand stagnated, and then he continued to pick. There really is a demon king. I hope he doesn't target my Medicine Valley. Guan thought silently that the other party's aura was far beyond the foundation building realm, but it did not pose a threat in his perception. The vague demonic aura began to move away from Xian Valley, which made him feel relieved. Compared with the decades of life gained by killing the other party, he was more afraid of exposing his strength. Until night fell, Guan was reading Ziwei formation record in the house. He was reading the wood-attributed formations with great interest. His brows suddenly frowned, and then he sighed. Xian Gu did not cause any trouble, but Liya attracted the attention of the demon lord. On the top of the mountain, Liya, who was meditating and absorbing qi, suddenly opened his eyes. He stood up, walked to the edge of the cliff, and looked down at the forest below. About 100 feet away from the mountain where he was, a mysterious man like a ghost stood under the tree, looking at him from afar. Under the moonlight, the mysterious man almost merged with the darkness, and only by getting close could he be seen. Liya frowned, raised his hand and pointed to the distance, then jumped up and flew to the end of the night sky. The mysterious man under the tree then turned into a ball of black gas and dissipated, disappearing without a trace. After an incense stick of time, Liya landed beside a river in the mountains. The river ran through the mountains and was about 2 meters wide. It sparkled under the moonlight. As soon as he landed, a black gas appeared out of thin air on the grass opposite the river, and then condensed into a human figure. Liya asked, "You are not the demon lord of Taixuan Sect?" "You seem to know me," that the mysterious man said in a hoarse voice. "Prince Liya, inherited the sword meaning of the first sword cultivator in Jizhou. It is a pleasant surprise to meet you." Liya drew the sword at his waist, pointed at the mysterious figure, and said, "Playing tricks." As the voice fell, his body burst out with violent sword energy, causing his black clothes to shake violently like flames. 7 silver sword shadows quickly condensed around him, which were so dazzling in the dark night. "You dare to resist me in the Jindan realm?" The mysterious man sneered contemptuously. He turned into demonic energy again and dissipated. Almost instantly, he appeared behind Liya out of thin air. Liya's pupils shrank, and he immediately jumped up, turning around and slashing behind him. 7 silver sword shadows killed the mysterious man at a very fast speed. Boom! 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 Silver sword shadows fell to the ground one after another, stirring up rolling dust and shaking the surrounding trees violently. Liya in mid-air had not yet seen whether the mysterious man was hit. A strong wind swept from the side, and he had no time to react and was directly blown away. Liya fell into the woods like a sharp arrow, knocking down trees along the way, and flew hundreds of feet before he stopped. The dust dispersed, and Liya leaned against the tree trunk with blood all over his body. The trunk was full of cracks and the branches were still trembling. The mysterious man appeared in mid-air, looking down at Leah, and snorted, "Boy, you dare to fight me just after forming a pill, you are so brave, do you know what realm I am in?" Leah looked up with difficulty, and blood dyed his vision red. "Damn!" Leah gritted his teeth and tried to stand up, but he couldn't stand up at all. "Hey, why are you injured again? You are not playing with your own life, but the life of your ancestor." An old voice sounded in Leah's mind, and the tone was very helpless. The mysterious man raised his right hand and faced Leah in the air. In the dark night, he was surrounded by demonic energy and did not reveal his true appearance. He was about to speak, and a hand surrounded by demonic energy pressed on his shoulder, which made him stunned. In an instant, his body suddenly grew branches, mixed with blood, and it seemed like a blood flower blooming in the air. The demonic energy on his body dissipated, revealing his true body. This was a middle-aged man, and his outer sect elder's robe was pierced by branches. His ferocious and majestic face was full of incredible colors. He turned his head with difficulty, and saw a purple-black figure standing behind him. "Demon Shadow Divine Art. You." The middle-aged man trembled. Leah's eyes widened suddenly and he shouted angrily, "Elder Chen, why is it you?" The middle-aged man called Elder Chen had no time to answer. The storage bag on his waist was taken away by the person behind him. Then, the branches on his body ignited with green fire, quickly burning him to ashes, and his body and soul disappeared. The purple-black figure stood in the air, and his right arm kept grabbing Elder Chen's shoulder. Leah below felt a huge pressure. He knew that Elder Chen was a great cultivator in the nascent soul realm. How could such a cultivator be destroyed without any resistance? Crossing the void realm. At least above the 5th level, the voice of the Ancestor sounded in Leah's mind, and his tone was very solemn. The 3 words crossing the void realm made Leah's heart beat wildly. The forest under the night sky fell into silence, and Leah's heart was in his throat, ready to guard against the other party's attack at any time. He roared in his heart, "Ancestor, save me." After a few breaths, the purple-black figure disappeared in the air, and Leah was so scared that he trembled all over and looked around quickly. He left. He must have weighed something. The voice of the Ancestor sounded in Leah's mind, which made him feel relieved. "Stinky boy, don't worry about that Guan, hurry to the inner gate. This outer gate is getting more and more evil. There must be someone who is hurting Tienda. If you stay, something will happen sooner or later." The tone of the Ancestor became stern, and Leah was silent. In the Xuangu pavilion, Guan looked at the storage bag in his hand and sighed slightly. "Senior Brotherly, I'm sorry, if you don't get hurt, you will stay here." Guan felt very sorry. After all, Leah came for him. Although the Elder Chen just now obviously wanted to capture Leah, if Leah went directly to the inner gate, there would be no subsequent trouble. He decided to send more herbs after Leah came back. Killing Elder Chen allowed him to gain 37 years of life, no more and no less. He began to explore Elder Chen's storage bag. His spiritual sense scanned it several times, and took out some potentially dangerous things and burned them. It was not until dawn that Leah came back. This guy changed into clean clothes and looked like he had not experienced a big battle. Guan met him downstairs and asked, "Brotherly, why do you look a little off?" Leah smiled and said, "There was a little problem with my practice last night, but it's okay." Guan frowned, then pulled him upstairs and took out all the pills he had refined, which were dozens of bottles. He said he bought them all and stored them. Leah asked in surprise, "Brother Gu, what are you doing? You came back from outside the valley, and your face is still not good. You should have encountered a battle last night, right?" Guan said in a deep voice. Leah's face became ugly. He took a deep breath and said, "I did encounter a demon cultivator last night and was injured. Brother Gu, you should move to the inner gate Medicine Valley. You can't stay in the outer gate. Can't stay? I don't believe it. Gu En's foundation is here, he can't abandon it. Whoever comes to cause trouble will die." Guan smiled bitterly on the surface. "Brotherly, we grow low-level herbs in this Medicine Valley, how can the Demon Lord look down on them? In fact, we are safer if you are not here. You go to the inner gate, we will be fine. I can ask Lu Jiujia for help, our relationship is not broken." But Liya hesitated. Guan interrupted, brotherly, I always feel that the chaos in the outer gate has little to do with the magic cultivators. The demon hall has been established for so many years, and how many spies of the magic sect have been caught? Is it possible that someone is using the name of the magic sect to cause chaos? If you go to the inner gate, you may be able to save the outer gate, but if you stay here, how long can you protect me by yourself? Liya's face darkened instantly when he heard it, and he thought of Elder Chen. After struggling for a few breaths, he took a deep breath and said, Brother Gu, you are right. I will go to the inner gate now. Guan smiled, and then forced all the pills to him, which moved him very much. After a few words, Guan urged him to get on the road. He also felt that things could not be delayed. Because of his injury, Liya could only fly with his sword. After he flew out of Xian Valley, he couldn't help but look back and murmured, see, this is why I can't let him go. No matter who dares to hurt him, I will make them regret it. Thanks to Zhiqiu Dazizi for rewarding 500 starting coins and Yan Gu Piaoxiang for rewarding 100 starting coins.